Hi, my name is Anthony Anzaldua. I am Texas, USA, Texas, born and raised. I'm 33 years old. Um, I've been pretty spiritual all my life. I've always worked with my hands. I've always been into art and music, philosophy from a young age. I always had this yearning, this kind of thing in my mind that was telling me like what would happen if you just be honest, like not brutally like mean, but like honest about everything. From a young age, I was like having this idea, and I feel like it came from God. I feel like it was preparing me to just accept reality, want truth, but it was also me like yearning for that. And I don't know where it came from. It came from me. It could have come from my higher self, but just to be honest, it came from me. Like I could feel the importance of honesty and truth from a young age, and it was easy for me to think about that. So that's my introduction, I guess, to myself. And there's so many topics I could branch off in, but that's just a short, sweet intro.
So a lot
One
of people that I end up having interviews with, and I'm Nick George. I don't really have a channel name yet. I don't even know what I'm going to call this. I did this silly backdrop because I'm in my basement up against some insulation, and the last time it was really
That looks
boring, so I
good.
tried something new. Thanks. Um, but the reason that we typically, when I have a conversation with somebody, it's because they are or are in agreement with me, or we start out in a disagreement and we end up basically agreeing on everything in the video. One thing that intrigued me about this one is
Yeah.
that you seem to be in disagreement with some of the things that I have been researching and then standing for based on my research. And so I'm not so addicted to my the findings of my research that I'm unwilling to admit that I was wrong and change course again, just like I did, when I was a born again Christian. So I
Yeah.
learned a lot of valuable
Yeah,
lessons in that.
exactly.
So I'm totally open to having somebody on that counters everything that I say if you want to, or if we end up agreeing, that wouldn't surprise me either. But I
I
just
think
thought
we agree
maybe
on a lot. I
right.
think
So
we agree
we're
on a lot. Um, I've also kind of what do you call it? Minimally fallen into certain false concepts, but not really heavily and not for a long time without at least being honest with myself that like, no, I really do feel like this is wrong. I was wrong in small ways and for a period, but I'm like, I don't care. I'm not, I don't feel guilty. I'm like, okay, because I didn't do it to fool myself, to cheat myself on purpose.
right.
A lot of people seem to do that almost consciously, and they're just scared to be honest, and they haven't figured out that little tool in life where it feels good to be honest with yourself. I may not be able to fix my flaws, but I have the power, honestly, like legit, I have the power to be honest with myself about anything
So
that
what
I'm
do we
doing
disagree
right or
about?
wrong.
Where
I
do we
think we
disagree?
disagree
Since
about the the heaviest thing is the core thing. Like the first thing that comes to my mind is the meat. And that's I think I'm more balanced. We agree in some ways about meat, but on the core, I think in my opinion, I think you're a little bit too imbalanced where ideally we wouldn't eat cows and pigs, but like chickens and fish is good, in my opinion, according to my understanding. And I can also feel it. It's like I was telling you and commenting, it's like especially when you add to it organic, high vibrational, love animals, like you don't pamper the animals and treat them like they're God, but at the same time, you don't abuse them or neglect them or treat them like humans. They're not humans. They don't have brains like us. They don't have the abilities, the skills, the passion, the skills of abilities of communication. Um, Responsibilities. They don't have these things that humans have. So if you can't be honest that they're not as evolved, you have to at least start with that honest statement, that realization they're not as evolved as us, at least psychologically, if not spiritually and physically and all these things. But to demean animals, to want them to suffer is wrong. It's just as evil as hurting humans, in my opinion, because it's the same hatred, the same rage and aggression, demonic activity. Some people eat dogs, and I think that's evil. Some people beat dogs, and that's evil. Some people treat animals better than humans, and I think that's wrong. It may not be evil, but it's wrong. It's an imbalance. What Srimataji and Sahaja Yoga brought to the table full force is the absolute truth about everything. Now, she didn't focus on one thing. She was very dynamic, very comprehensive, very, very comprehensive, like the epitome of the word comprehensive. That's why it's so hard to figure out what Sahaja Yoga is, because it's so gigantic. Um, but you can find the truth. I still hear her say things that I'm unsure about, and I'm like, well, I'm going to put that on the back burner. But food and meat is one of the main things. Now, to add to that, it's wrong. The 99% of the system that we have with meat in the United States or worldwide is evil. It's abusing animals. It's what do you call it? Taking advantage of them on purpose, poisoning the food supply. I think you know about this with all the preservatives and genetically modifying the food, which I think they did for specific reasons to interface with our body and affect our body in specific purposeful ways to lower our vibration, lower our abilities to be healthy and feel good and have energy so that we can communicate more. Because people don't want to talk because they're tired. They're overworked, they're underpaid, they're fed shitty food. But think about ideally in a world like that's ideal, everybody would just do what their heart and their soul and their higher self was made to do, whether it's art or me, in my opinion, if everybody was on my level, everybody would do a little bit of everything randomly. We should plan things and actually see them through. And there's nothing wrong with planning, but spontaneity is a part of divinity. That's how you throw a bunch of seeds. You don't know which one's going to sprout. That's God. It's like the survival of the fittest, but without malice.
So we both
It's
believe in
survival of
God.
the fittest without malice. What's that? I'm sorry, what?
We both believe in God.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we
Strongly. I
both.
think we both strongly believe in God. Yes.
I think we actually believe in the same one. And when I was your age,
Yes.
I
Yes, I
felt
think we do.
exactly
I can
this.
feel it.
I felt exactly the same way that you did about meat and animals. In fact, the last thing that changed for me when I became a vegan was the whole caring about animal abuse. I came at it backwards. I found out about biological weapons like undetectable rickettsias and
And
which are
yeah, the black goo, I think there's even ancient black goo from the fall of Atlantis and other planets and negative races that genetically engineered oils that have like nanotechnology even. So you want to we can go deep on anything you want. I'd love to go deep
no,
on
I don't want
everything
to
we talk
scare.
about.
I don't know enough to talk about that, but I want you to know that
But
I didn't
divinity
come
is also in play with everything. Divinity
true.
protecting good people is also always in play. So there's to anything that's scary, we should expose what's scary and talk about it. Because if people aren't, I'm kind of aggressive in a good way though. I think it might be an imbalance that I have because Sri Mataji said if she is who she says she is, a divine incarnation, she said we have to reach her style. Her level is knowing exactly how to come at people. So when you're speaking and introducing yourself, I guess I'm a bit imbalanced. I go like balls to the wall too hard and I might scare people. But I'm at a level where I'm like, I'm not scared of anything because we die no matter what anyways. So why waste time being scared, you know? Because to any fear, there's an opposite solution. Like there's an answer, there's a technique or a philosophy that you can employ for yourself that will free you from that anxiety, whether it be more
Abs-
information or faith or meditation. There's always something. That's why faith. I
I
agree with the Bible, and I think it's real. Faith is
I
so
found
important because we don't know
go ahead.
everything. We have to have faith that you can find the answer.
Faith that you can find the answer. I like that better than just
Yeah.
faith. A lot of people
Yes.
think
Yes.
faith is a campground and you don't get back on the road to wisdom. But I
That's BS. Yeah.
and I think anyway. But I wanted you to know that I'm not like one of those foo-foo animal lovers that joined PETA and all of a sudden came to the
Yeah.
fact that I
Okay.
never should have been
That's
harming animals. I was
You're
dating a
miles ahead
girl.
of all the other vegans. I
No,
also don't
well,
think it's evil to be vegan. I'll add that to the mix. It's not evil to be vegan. Maybe it's necessary, like in a body, different body parts have different uses and purposes. And I think humans in the body of Christ have different purposes and different people need different things. So it's wrong. It's a sin for a meat eater to not fix the world with a vegetarian. I think that's wrong. I'm not going to limit myself. You know, if I'm willing to die for you and you're willing to die for me, it doesn't matter what I eat and what you eat. Really, that's how little I think it's the importance is food. And that's exactly why I sent
No,
you that video that you're talking. Food really isn't that important. Because what if you're thrown in a jail cell and God wants you to save people's souls, but you have to eat all the shitty toxic food? Okay, I'll eat it. I'll be crucified. I'll die for you. Why wouldn't I
well,
eat a shitty taco for you? You see what I'm
I,
saying?
I was in there, I do, and I ate meat while I was in there, and the vegan
So
it, that I
nothing
lived with.
physical should hold us back from preaching the next level that people need to hear. Because if food's going to stop you from interfacing with humans, you're not strong. You know what I'm saying?
But it does stop people from interfacing with each other because it creates a neurological toxicity, which
It
creates
doesn't,
an
but it doesn't have to though. The
it
mind
doesn't
over
have
matter. You know
it
that's
doesn't
real, right? Mind over matter.
absolutely, but it creates a demonstrable anxiety that makes it impossible for us to have a meaningful back and forth.
Yes, for most people, for the majority of people who aren't realized, this is what Sahaja
Well,
Yoga expresses is self-realization. So a person can be eating organic, but be lower than me if I'm eating Taco Bell, just because of my knowledge, and I can force myself to vibrate at a high state, even while eating shitty food. While a person is demonic, but their diet is perfect.
sure, I believe that both of those things
But
are simultaneously possible, but
yeah,
just because
yes,
those
they
two
are
things are
happening.
simultaneously possible doesn't mean that all food is okay.
Well, I'll go way further than either of us are going. I think our destiny is to transcend the physical reality and be in a higher vibrational dimension where we don't have
Absolutely.
bodies anymore.
Absolutely.
So you're right, and it is that hierarchy of spiritual evolution where not only are you vegetarian, but you can go without eating. You don't need to eat in order to be divine. You could
Yeah,
eat meat and still maintain the exact same vibration.
I
You
would
see what
be
I'm saying?
sick, but yes,
That's a
I hear you.
master.
I
That's a master.
no, I can't think of an example of what you mean by master in all of the sages or teachers of righteousness that we have any legend of or record. If you would tell me, I would
I
love to
don't
hear who that meat eating prophet was.
Primategy. And
Uh,
I believe Christ ate fish and other meats that people cooked like goat and stuff. I think
did
Christ
you
ate these things.
did you read the
He
article that
wasn't
addressed
he
exactly
wasn't
those things that I
I
sent you?
can feel it though. It makes sense. He wasn't focused on something as slow as food. I mean, he didn't want meat, but he ate it. You see what I'm saying? He didn't let that create a division between him and the disciples.
In the New Testament, I would agree that it leads you to believe that that would be the case, that he at the very least was he
Like
acquiesced to me.
it's almost like he didn't even think about it. He didn't care. That's how he didn't need food. He could
Well,
at any moment transcend and go way beyond our wildest imagination,
are you
in
familiar
my
with the part
opinion.
in the part in the Bible where it says that James, the brother of Jesus, never touched meat? And they
I
weren't
believe
raised
that
in
that's
different,
I don't think it's a lie. I think that's in the Bible. Yeah.
and that happens to be one of the things that is absolutely congruent with the Dead Sea Scrolls and Hegesippus and Eusebius and all of the people
Did you say
that were
James?
James
You
the
said
Just, the
James? Yeah.
James
Yeah.
the Just, who they call in the Bible
Yeah.
James the Lesser. They never actually address him
What
as his
about all
name.
the stories of what about all the stories in the Bible of fishing and Christ not condemning people fishing, actually helping them find meat?
I didn't expect you to read the article that I sent you regarding all of that, but I don't know. Did you see the link I sent you and said, please check this out before we
No,
get
but I
out?
can feel it. So I can feel energy. I'm quite psychic, so I can tell it's saying that that was a lie. It was a purposeful mistranslation put in the Bible to get us to eat meat.
Well, if what I'm saying, if you follow the theory that I didn't get to explain earlier, I was trying to explain it to you, but meat creates a situation where you have flesh in your body that's not protected by oxygenated blood supply or white blood cells, which is the only way that you can stop a bacterial infection. So there's a microbacterial infection that starts every time you throw a dead carcass in your body, in your mouth. And until it's all out, and it doesn't always get all out. Well, by the time you're my age, most men have 5 pounds of undigested red meat in their GI tract, just lacing the side of it like plaque on teeth. And inside that
Yeah, I know
plaque
about all that.
are biofilms in which these things can travel unabated by the oxygenated blood supply and white blood cells. And so they can live without concern about your immune system and continue to colonize in the parts of the digestive system that are just undigested
I know.
flesh, eddies of pollution. And so even healthy guys like me and you are carriers. I'm a
But
carrier, even though I'm 7 years vegan. I know I'm still carrying the precursors to Rickettsia helvetica, which is a weaponized bioweapon created in Fort Detrick 70 years ago for mind control. And they sprayed it on our great grandparents. And it was passed congenitally from mother to son until we were born with it,
in the
precursors
colostrum.
precursors of it in our gut. And so the minute we start eating animal cells at all, we fire that stuff back up and whatever it was designed to do by Fort Detrick, which I think is create a short-term memory issue, an anxiety issue that makes it impossible to have meaningful conversations that politically controls people, like fluoride in the water, but this time through our gut bacteria, in combination probably with the fluoride and all the other different types of technology they're using to disconnect us. But there we used to be connected, and there was a group of people that talked about this connection that we used to have to each other, a certain
The
clairvoyance that
Essenes.
not well, the Essenes were a later thing that came along, and the Essenes were a very broad group. There's evidence that the Essenes ate
Yeah.
meat, but there was a
Yeah.
specific group that were the higher level Essenes that were the people that considered themselves followers of the leadership of the Essenes, and that smaller group was known as the Ebionites, and they were Pythagorean Essenes, so they weren't even considered to be Jewish. They were following a righteous teacher that had been killed by Babylon 400 years earlier when he
I
protested against
watched
the
your
first
video.
printing of money.
Your video that you posted between you and that guy with I think was he wearing glasses? I can't remember his name. It's a good video.
Jay Scott, and he taught me some things about how they introduced meat at the same time, and I wasn't really focused on any of that. I knew that the Bible had introduced it, but I didn't know about the grilling of burgers at Solomon's Temple and all that stuff. That was really weird to hear it that way. But my overall point is this: when I discovered the 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 vegan thing, um, and it was called Pythagorean before they changed the name to vegan to bury the origin of the diet. But when I discovered this Pythagorean vegan diet, it was because I was trying to figure out why this girl was falling into comas that I was dating. And she would go into a coma for 3 to 4 weeks at a time. And we found out she was carrying something called Ehrlichia chaffinesis, which is a very specific type of undetectable microbe that can manifest in people's bodies. She had a couple of other things, but we attacked it aggressively. We eliminated the problem. And it turns out that the problem was 100% related to a combination of flesh and sugar that were feeding a bacterial colony. It's the same thing Candida does, the white stuff on the back of people's tongues. If you've ever wondered what
Yeah.
that growth is, it's a fungus that's
Yeah, I
like
know
an
about that.
animal, and it does lead to mind
Yeah.
control. It can lead to syphilis. It can have bipolar issues on chicks if they don't address it and they keep eating the Cheetos. But once I started discovering that there's all these creatures that live in us that change the way we behave, and that the government's been working in that area for a couple thousand years, I finally discovered, but I thought it was only 70. They've known about the first brain and how to manipulate it for a very, very long time. And that's why I became vegan, because the naturopaths in the Boulder, Colorado area where I was living at the time were all consistent. They didn't know each other, but they all had the same training that if you get rid of all alchemical content of flesh to where you only have plant-based, what's the word for it? The opposite of acidic, alkalinity, plant-based alkalinity. Nothing can grow that's bad for you. Cancers, fungus, parasites, they all
Right.
just die.
I agree.
And
Yeah,
so I
that's right.
switched. And then later I found out that this was a teaching that was 2,000 years old, and it was buried shut by the Old Testament, which taught the opposite. And so that's how this whole thing started. It wasn't a religious thing, it was a biological weapons thing. And then I found out it was a government thing and a church thing that's been maintained like a standing wave of deception for
Yeah.
thousands of years. And
But
they've
nothing
known
is
that this
separate.
controls them.
Everything is connected. So everything you can talk about physicality is also linked to spirituality, whether it's divinity or demonic.
Sure,
So
but
nothing's
I mean,
separate.
you wouldn't put shitty gas in your motorcycle, even though you don't plan on riding it for the rest of your life. I mean, that's my
Yeah.
point is that you know you
But
when I
also what I would say, you're not wrong. I actually know you're right. But my point is,
Well, then why did Jesus
I'm an
tell us that
anomaly.
that all food was
I'm an
blessed? You know what
anomaly.
I mean?
I'll
Go
put it
ahead.
that way. You hear what I said? I'm an anomaly. I'm what's the word? I'm an anomaly
Yes, I know that word.
because, but truly though, I don't feel special. But when I look around at other people, they half of them don't even know organic food exists. But the other half that try to eat healthy, they're still always they end up dividing themselves from me based on something. It's always something. I never give up. I've never quit a job. I've never given up on anybody unless they make it completely impossible for me to be at peace or
I
they
think
get
that
rid of
you
me because
I think you probably are the anomaly. I think you probably compared to most
yeah,
people, but I don't think this biological weapon works on everybody perfectly. But I think that people that have had a
yeah,
mediocre upbringing and a mediocre set
yeah,
of experience of opportunities laid out in front of them, and had mediocre responses to it, they end up with mediocre results. And you probably aren't that type of person, and so you've pushed through. And I'm the kind of person the
yeah.
same way. It was
Yeah,
like hitting
I can
a.
actually remember certain like key phases of my evolution where I kept like core like couple of years pockets, and I there would be these plateau moments where I'm like, no, I'm not gonna stop. And it wasn't some drastic thing, but I was a real strong decision. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna stop. And I just kept pushing and pushing past everybody in my family. And I was like, why don't people want to do this? Why don't people want to know more? And what really helped me, one of the biggest cores of my upbringing, I had kids at a young age, and I married into a family who had started to eat everything organic and make their own food at home with organic ingredients. So that really jump started my gut biome. It protected me spiritually in a lot of ways, but they ended up falling off the edge of the earth and getting demonically possessed. This is what I lesson I learned. You can have a really good clean diet and still get possessed by demons because of spiritual principles that you're not being honest about. So that's what
Sure.
I'm saying. It's like screw the diet at a certain. That's why I love Sahaj Yoga, because it doesn't start with diet. It starts with the spirit, because the spirit trumps physicality in every
This,
way. This is
yes,
why
yes.
you can't start at, you know, food is like the trimmings of like the fourth, fifth, and sixth level of 10, but the first is the most important, which is the root chakra, which is being honest, being pure of heart, being innocent, which is being honest. It's being fearless. There's so many qualities to being innocent and pure.
Well, yeah,
There's
but
fearlessness, honesty. Everything boils back down to fear. It's like, you can't be honest about something because you're afraid of something. I can apply that to anything that somebody can't be honest to. It's because they're afraid of something. They're afraid of being wrong. They're afraid of admitting that they're wrong. They're
sure.
afraid that, yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't want to talk about what we agree on. I want to talk about what we disagree on. So it's like,
Right. And
but
so
what's the most important thing?
we disagree on meat. We both agree that there's
Yeah,
a
okay,
God, but we
because
disagree on meat. So,
I'm the proof that I can know more solutions than you do while eating meat. You see what I'm saying? I actually feel very strongly I have more answers to the problems in a deeper level than you do, and I eat meat. And I
what do you
wish
mean?
everything was organic and nothing. Huh?
What do you mean you have more deeper answers to problems because you eat meat? What do you mean
I've
by that?
gone I've gone I've gone philosophically and psychologically. I've had more realizations of vital truth, and I can feel it. I can feel That's how I can feel your level above everybody in my life currently. You're higher. I can feel it though. This is what
But
Shimon, you said, you can begin to feel the truth.
I thought you were saying that you've had more
More
deep
realizations.
than me, is what you were
Be-
saying. And so then you said that,
yeah.
but I'm higher, and I don't know what you mean. I'm confused. Or
Okay, so I can
I'm not trying to compare myself to you at all either. I'm
no,
trying to, what I want is for other
I
people
compare
to,
myself to everybody. I compare myself to Christ. I compare you to my mother. It's not a sin to do that. It's a sin to try and bully somebody with it. But it's not a sin to feel reality. So if somebody's smarter than me, I know, I can feel it. Then I want to talk to them. That's why I want to talk to you, because I think you have the intel. I think you know things that I don't know, that I want to know, because it's going to help me help everybody. It's not about competition. I don't want to be smarter than you. Be smarter than anybody. I'm just smarter because I have more love. I have more fearlessness. I have more honesty.
Okay. So,
Broad. It's like, where do we start? It's like, where do we start? I think it would be good to ask questions that you're unsure of my understanding. Like, what's one topic that you think it? Because I could go on for days. You know what I mean?
well, I mean, I think that the one of the most important things would be to start with the programming that you referred to a few times already, which is Christ.
Yeah.
And that
To
word,
me,
what
that means to me, the truth of that word means the original creation of pure knowledge and innocence was the
I understand.
first it was the third being that was created when God split from zero nothing into male female core um uh what is that word uh very ancient, the first, if there is such a place and thing, you know what I mean? It's like God is beyond time, in my opinion. So it's like there was never a beginning or an end to the creator of infinity. He is the
Okay,
source
so
from which time and space spring forward, and
and you're using the
material
Bible.
reality.
You're using the Bible.
I'm using axiomatic truths that transcend the Bible. I don't need the Bible,
Well,
because
no,
the
I'm just
truth is beyond the Bible.
true. That's true.
So
But what I'm
Christ,
saying,
to Christ, to me, Christ is the child of male and female God Almighty, like an upside down triangle. That when it comes to Earth and it flips back up and it creates the opposite. It comes down from God Almighty, from male and female, connects with the physical reality, and pushes everything back up
okay,
into truth, into higher, and it might absorb back into God Almighty, and eventually it might disappear and everything just gets sucked back into the void of nothingness, and then the Big Bang happens again. It's like God breathing, and this like infinity of all the universes. That's God breathing, in my
so
opinion.
Christ is like a soul that came out of God and then will return to it and then maybe come out of it again as like a
Yes, but he
breathing
never
process.
left. It's like
Right.
he was never evil, and he cannot be evil. So his physical
Okay.
manifestation was like living the most amazing, hardcore, Spartan, super intelligent, super powerful, super like flawless will. And the
Okay.
stories make sense. It's like you can't erase that. You can manipulate it, but you cannot erase that. It's like they had to
Right.
tamper with the story because it's impossible to erase. It's so powerful. If they burned a book, somebody else would have already told somebody else about it. It's like you couldn't stop it.
They did burn a lot of books.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that we don't know that Judas cleansed the temple in the second temple cleansing to turn over the money changers tables and whip them to get out of there and all that is because he was anti-money. And so, if you want to see how
Yeah.
powerful the machine is, it took an event that a guy died to leave us with a legacy that we could not forget that money was the root of all evil, and that was his teaching in action. And look what they did with it. We don't even know that's what it was about
I
now.
think he went deeper, but I think he started knowing it was way deeper than money. That's why I told you, to prove that I disagree with you, to prove my point, my stance, where my conviction is coming from. If everybody was like Christ, they could keep using money, but there would be no evil, and the money would be divine, to the
Well,
point where like I said, it couldn't not be a joke. It would just be a joke, but they would
so
be so high vibrational. They would use it to troll the demons, to troll hell. It's like, see, we didn't even need to get rid of paper money, and yet there's no problems. There's no rape. There's no murder. There's no wars. There's no famine. There's no disease. And they're like, yeah, I overpaid you, and you didn't even give me anything. There's like burning money. But then they keep printing it because it's like they have free energy, and it's like a joke. But it's not evil. Like, paper isn't evil. It is the energy and the purpose, the spells that have been cast, but it's not the paper that's evil. It's the intentions in all the human souls. If every soul got erased and there was just money on the earth, there would be no evil. The
would you
nature
agree
would
that
just
it's the
creep up
mind?
around the paper.
it's the mind control that we all agree on
It's the
that
humans.
gives that
It's
that
like
gives
forget
that
about
gives the
money. It's
paper value that's you.
yes, it's not the money. It's not that it's why it was created and how it's being used.
Do
We
you
can flip
understand?
that
Do
and
you
use
understand
we
that?
can use the demonic attack against it like judo, and we don't even have to get rid of it. We just have to fix enough normal humans like me and you have to stay connected and not deny any truth. If we were butting heads all the time, you think we're gonna fix shit? No,
No,
I'm not gonna
no,
fix anything.
no. But did you look
So
into
this is the
the
message. This is the truth.
did you look into the money, the etymology of the word money is moneta, the moon? It's a
Yes,
representative, a reflection of the influence of the moon, is where the word comes from.
yes,
And
yes.
maybe it's an accident they
Yes, but
associated it with the paper.
it doesn't control or limit divine souls. So it's like I keep coming back to this, my guy. It's like it's irregardless whether
Money
we get
doesn't
rid of the
control
money or
divine
not.
souls.
So we
Money
can
doesn't
talk for a
coerce
trillion
people.
years. Right.
Money,
It's humans. It's humans. It's human ignorance. So let's stop talking. Let's stop saying money. We need to start saying humans. How do you fix humans?
humans
I
acted
know
different.
how.
Humans definitely had issues before money showed up and the moon. But
Nothing will get fixed without enough people agreeing on enough truth.
yeah, but they can't if they're
And
being
the truth
coerced
is,
not to with money.
so
Money
it
is the
doesn't
most
start with
coercive.
them because they won't change. Where does it start? It starts with me and you. It cannot go any other way. That's why Christ got a bunch of people around him because he needed to inject his vibrations, his knowledge, his consciousness into the humanity. It's like we
But
have to do it that
but
way. And it
but he
keeps on
injected
guys
Roman
like us.
he injected Romans
I
chapter
believe
13
demons
into us, which told us to submit
like
to our tyrannical
I
government.
don't even I don't even need to talk about the Bible. This is so common sense to me. You know what I mean?
But
I don't even need to use the
You
Bible.
can't separate Christ from the Bible because that's where he was invented.
No, I can separate Christ from the Bible because Christ didn't need the Bible. I don't even think he wanted it.
He didn't
I
exist
I
outside of the
that's
Bible in any other literature. That's the first place he shows up, and then a little bit of
no,
Josephus, and
that's untrue. That's untrue. The Bible was taken from ancient writings, and I believe it was a recycled story of a true story of God coming into a human body, which is not impossible.
no,
If a
you.
God
That's
can
why we're
create this
talking because
universe,
it did. I'm talking to God through
yeah.
you. He's inside you, experiencing a whole
So
different aspect of life that I'll never see, and one through me.
I don't need to separate Christ from the Bible, but the truth about Christ is true even if you don't read the Bible. That's my point.
All
I'm
right,
not
then let's
running
go to the
away from the Bible,
etymology. Let's go to the etymology of the
but
word Christ. As far as I know, it
you know,
means up to three things. It can mean the king of souls
okay.
or the world. Either way, it's an archon relationship with others that is absolutely in defiance of what James and his brother taught, that everyone's equal and power must be decentralized back to the individuals, which were all equal. No soul is better than
But
another, ranked higher than
we're not
another.
equal. We're not equal with God just by the clear fact that we at least we don't remember how to create infinity. Because we can't do
Sure,
it. We have
but
no
but
control
but
over the planets. So
but no
to say
man
that we're all
or
equal is a lie from the start. So we got to
we
address that
are
right
all
there before
equal.
going
No,
any
no,
further.
no,
Because
no. They said that that there is no soul that is king over other souls except for the one who pretends to be, and that's Belial, the prince of demons. No other soul
so
wants that type of hierarchy over other
I
souls.
agree with you. The only reason I agree with that is because eventually, in my opinion, all the good souls can't be stopped from becoming one and equal with God Almighty. But at this current point in time, we're not. So this is where
Some
quantum comes in, where two things are true simultaneously, even though they oppose each other. Because of time, we are not currently equal with God. We don't have powers of resurrection. We don't have powers of levitation. We don't have powers of
We do
foresight. We
have
don't have
powers of resurrection.
full knowledge of anything.
Every time we
Huh?
pass away, we come right back out of this body and go back where we came from, and then we sit there until we choose to come back again. This has been quantified by every
Yes,
single hypnotist over thousands of years that's ever taken somebody past into the subconscious
but
where they just start
but your
emanating
own
this information.
arguments, your own arguments conflict with each other. Mine don't.
What do you mean?
You say we're God, but
Equally.
then you say we shouldn't eat meat. And you say God would never eat meat. He never ate meat.
Right.
So
That's
I'm
because you're
not God. If
consuming.
I'm eating meat, if I'm not God, if I'm God, I can't eat meat, and I am. So I'm not God, according to your
You're
logic.
you're violating another sentient being's free will. You're creating fear and then you're consuming it. Not to mention you're
So
eating the
how can
cells
I
that.
do that? How can I sin if I'm God? If God is perfect, how can I do that if I'm God?
How can you
How does
sin
that
if?
not prove that I'm not
Well,
God?
well, first of all, you have to understand what sin means. And I tried to tell you this earlier and you didn't look it up first, but the original word sin, the earliest time it was
Sin is
ever
missing the
used,
mark.
it means
It's
the moon.
simple. I think you
It's the
overcomplicate things.
moon. Look it up. I'll wait. Sin is the moon. It's the
I did
oldest word for the moon.
hidden
That's why
meanings, but words can
that
have
no,
multiple meanings.
this one didn't have multiple meanings. Sin was the no one. It was known as anything other than sin for like maybe a couple thousand years until it changed to Nana and some
So,
other pet
okay, I
names.
agree. I
But
agree.
the
Sin means the
Mount
moon.
Sinai is
But what
Mount
is that?
Sinai is named after it. Mount Sinai that Moses went up on to
Okay,
talk to God.
okay,
He was talking to the moon on Mount Moon, Mount Sinai. Sin.
okay, okay,
So sorry. Go ahead.
okay. So, but when that trickles down into reality, if the moon is negative in your opinion, that means that
It is.
anything done through that covenant or whatever you want to call it is wrong, right?
Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, it's a lower.
Sin, which is so, but it so that proves my point that sin may mean the moon, but it also means doing things wrong.
Yes, it's a false reflection of light. It's Lucifer, Lucy in the sky with diamonds. She's Lucy. The things around her are the
Okay,
diamonds. And
so
that was so told to us in so
so
many ways,
if
but we
I'm
didn't really
God,
understand what it
if
means. It's a dead
so, do you believe
entity
I'm
that's
God?
reflecting the sun's light
You,
in a way that has a negative impact on
sure,
us. That's
fair enough.
Lucifer.
Sure, okay, but how do you
That's
believe
where money's from.
me and you? Do you believe I'm God?
I believe that you are equally that with me and anyone else driving around behind you, but only a few of us will wake up to that type of thing in this cycle. A lot of us are several lives
So,
behind
so
others as far
according
as
to
our where
you,
we are.
so this is where we disagree. I don't, according to you, God can sin. In my reality, I'm not God. I can reach that level,
The
but God cannot
flesh,
sin.
the flesh.
Yes.
You're
So,
bound to a vessel that was created by the God of the Bible. He says, "I am the creator of mankind and human spirits, neither of which is souls." He never admits being the creator of souls because he didn't. He created the vessels that souls come temporarily enter into a covenant with to learn lessons. But what drags the soul into covenants of sin are the marriage that it's tied to with the lower 66.6% of the covenant, which is the mind and the body. The upper 33 is the soul. The lower 66 is the body and the mind, and they become attached to the influences of very powerful objects that are in the physical realm that work for Saturn, Satan, the demiurge, which is the emissary we know as the moon. And if you've ever watched
but
anything about the Saturn moon matrix,
you're just taking a really long, thorough time to explain what we already agree on. So why do that?
I didn't know that you knew that the basis for sin was the moon's influence and money was the basis for the moon's
It's
influence.
the moon and money are just objects. They're not the source of evil.
They lift oceans and they lift you in a way that's negative,
It's a
and you
tool.
don't know it.
It's not the source. You're talking about
Money
a tool, not the source.
money is a tool, like a lazy river is a tool, but it only drags your equity in one direction, outwardly, out of your
But you said
pocket.
it was the root. But you keep saying it's the root of all evil or the
You,
source. It's not.
money is the root of all evil, and it's tied to the moon and the moon's influence on the earth
Like
for a reason.
like the moon and money came way after evil manifested. Millions of
True,
years after evil
true,
manifested. So
but it
it's
hit
not the
the
source.
no, but it threw at a vehicle that was much more powerful in accomplishing the goal
We
when
don't
money was
disagree.
introduced. but it doesn't ever
We
just
don't
do good.
disagree on any of them.
If it does good, it's only to trick people into getting back in the lazy river, so their equity's sucked out of their homes and their pockets through inflationary pressures, which the government always tries to act bashful about why it happens, but it only happens in one direction, and it's always them stealing from us. And the same thing is true for taxes. They only go up, they never go down. And that's why governments only last 200 or 300 years, but the Bible stays the same. Because every time a government ends because it overtaxes people and a revolution happens, what's left behind the smoke of that revolution? A church. And it just rebuilds and runs the same game on us with a different nationality. But it's the same ancient terrorist organization using the same monetary tool of manipulation with meat as another additive for a chemical weapon for political control that makes us not want to know more and treat each other badly. And
But
we're
I know how to
coerced to
fix it,
continue
and you
this.
don't.
Well, I do. I'm telling you, we have to stop exchanging our real value for Disney bucks at the door of this amusement park that they've tricked us into camping out at. But we need to remove ourselves from it.
But
We
the
need to
only
stop
way, but
exchanging
the
it.
only way, the only way, because we agree. But what you don't realize is the only way to start actually changing it, which will be scary as F, but it will take revolutionary, fearless actions greater than what created the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
I
I mean,
agree,
we
but I
have
think
that
that
potential.
it can be done with I think it can be done without bloodshed. And I think that
Yes.
that would have been a
The
lot harder
way,
to explain to me when I was a meat eater than it is now.
but I'm effortlessly, I know how to explain it, and I still haven't even begun to explain it.
I believe you. I think you're an anomaly, but most people out there don't know why they have this penchant for wanting to see war.
But
And it's because
but
of what they
they're
eat.
not going to change. They're not going to change until men like me and you get closer and go deeper together.
Agreed.
Because I'd die for you. You wouldn't even let me. I would die for you. You wouldn't even let me come cook you dinner
That's not true. I wouldn't let you come cook me dinner because for the same reason that I don't eat dick.
because I eat meat.
I'm totally turned off by
I'm
meat.
being extreme.
But if you wanted to come cook me vegan food, I'd
But
be
this is
happy
what it
to.
is. This is what it is. This is what it really is. Men like Gandhi were on a level higher than either of us are actually manifesting. He is like me. I'm like Gandhi in that I could build a house by hand and I want to, and I could live in it with people and get married and have healthy marriages and expand the house and land and everything. That's what you're talking about. That's actually what I want to do. But I haven't found a single human being able to sustain the relationship necessary to manifest it. Because it's not about money. It's about disagreeing in some way and people cut each other off.
I'm
The
telling you,
demons are
it's about
laughing at all of us.
it
They're
has a
laughing
lot to
at us. They're laughing
it.
at us because they're like, this guy won't save the world because this dude eats meat. He's like, he's playing right into our freaking hand. This is so they love it. They love it. You know what I mean? And I'm just
It
like looking back at the demons and humans and just shaking my head. I'm like, yeah, man, if everybody was like me, this shit would have been fixed yesterday. It wouldn't
yeah,
have
but
even happened because
yeah,
I'm
but
willing to
no,
die.
but you.
A
Well,
couple people might die, but
I
if
appreciate you
everybody
saying
is
that.
willing to die, if everybody is willing to die, if everybody's at that level that I am at, every single day I'm at that level, at the drop of a hat.
Well,
I've died trying to be friends with strangers. I've been jumped for speaking the truth and almost beaten to death.
I believe
I
you, and
am
I used.
actually, I've done it. I'm practicing what I preach, and I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at society. I'm angry at everybody because it's so easy to do. It's so easy to fix everything because it's like you're either gonna stay in this shit box or we're gonna break free and some revolutionary shit's gonna happen. And yeah, some people might die, and I might die. You
That's
might
true.
die. Might have
That's
to watch
true.
your children. But that's what level. That's the level that everybody is gonna have
But
to be on, and
a
it
lot
has
of
to
that.
start with two people, and then three, and then four people, and then 10 people, and then 1,000 people, and 1,000,000 people. Everybody willing to die because they all know reincarnation's real. That the
Well,
God of the
that's it.
universe is going to
You're right.
protect
You're
your
not really
soul.
going to die, so you're not really throwing yourself
Right,
in harm's way.
right,
You don't think
right.
like that anymore, and that's
Exactly. Exactly.
um,
But where does the suffering come from? It comes from misunderstanding reality. And I think that's why they took reincarnation out of the Bible. And I think that's why nothing changes, even though all these people have all these spiritual channels and everybody's talking and podcasts. We're just like, we're on their ass. We know about how many times Joe Biden has sniffed a little girl this week, but we can't change it. We just can't seem to figure out how to fix it. It's
And
Sahaja Yoga. Inside of Sahaja Yoga, over and over and over, Sri Mataji says collectivity, collectivity, collectivity. But what do I see happen on a daily basis? Everybody I meet, every single person makes up an excuse, gets lazy, starts arguing, acts like they don't disagree, but they won't talk. I'm willing to walk to Alaska and motherfuckers can't even answer my phone call. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
That's the level we have to be at. It's not going to be that hard if everybody starts doing it. But where does it start? It starts with you and me right now.
agreed.
We might be the
And
most we might be the two most advanced souls in the United States. That could be possible. So it's up to us, really. And you have to be comfortable and look into my eyes like a brother with love and watch me eat a steak while you're eating some green beans and know that I am a great soul and you're willing to die for me. That's what it
listen,
takes.
hang on, you got to let me talk a
I'm
little bit.
serious.
I do know
I'm
that
dead
that's what it
serious.
takes, and I
I'm dead
can look you in the
serious.
eye while you're eating a steak, but I don't want you
And give
to.
me your pillow.
I don't want you to.
It's
I
like
don't want
that.
you to. I don't
I
want you
would
to
go
participate.
naked for you. You could kill my children in front of me and I would give you my jacket and say,
Wait
better
a
luck
minute,
next
man.
time.
See, now
You know what I'm
there's something
saying?
else I
You
wanted to
have to be
discuss.
willing to forgive anything.
You're demonstrating sacrificial the results of a sacrificial indoctrination program. You're willing to throw yourself
No, I'm not.
at this for a
No, I'm
stranger
not
that you
because I
love.
haven't died. And I
No, I
refuse
know.
to die, by the way.
Right, right. But I'm just saying that like meat causes people to want to throw themselves in harm's way
No,
as an act
no,
of
I disagree.
altruism.
I'm doing that with full understanding that I'm being extreme on purpose and making a metaphor. But I would do it, but I know I
Well, I
don't
hear
have
you.
to and I don't need to. And it's a shame if that happens because it's not necessary. And I don't want to do that. And I
Good.
won't.
Well,
And I don't think it's necessary,
but
but that's the level that I feel your energy needs
yes,
my voice to take it
I'm
to
there.
shake you out of your.
If you and I were in a Circle K and you just happened to be in the middle of an armed robbery where somebody had a gun to your head and it looked like it was going to go bad, I would whip out my concealed carry and risk my life to end the other person's life before they ended yours, not even knowing you. So I'm that person too. So I get that.
So,
I don't like to talk about it
but
much
I
because I'm trying to
know.
be all
So
sneaky and stuff.
anything, anything that I could ask of you to do for me, you should want to do it because I would do it for you and more. This is what level it is. I live in my car. I'm homeless. I live in a tent in the forest. I sleep around wild boars. I sleep in nature every night. My own mother doesn't give a crap that I might get jumped or shot or stabbed or arrested for not having registration on my car. My car is registered and insured, by the way. But my point is, my own mother doesn't care. It's almost like she wants me to fail. Men like you have a responsibility to go out of your way to help men like me who are willing to die to protect your children. You see where I'm coming from? And here we're talking about, how much gut bacteria it's going to take to break free from. I'm so beyond all that. You see what I'm saying? I could eat
See,
Twinkies for the rest of my life and fix the world. You know what I'm saying? And manifest a world where everything is organic. Like I'm gonna manifest a world that's free of meat and perfectly natural and organic for everybody else, but I'm
I
gonna
think
eat
you're
the
going to have
shitty
a
food while
really
I race around. You see what I'm saying?
I think you're going to have a really hard time eating in a way that you want to eat in the situation that you're in, no matter what.
My
Especially
point is
trying
I'm
to eat
willing to do
organic
whatever
vegan.
it takes. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And if everybody was at that level, shit wouldn't have even gotten as bad in the first place.
True, true. But the people say that the greatest generation was the World War II generation, and a lot of people don't know that they lost that war to the Nazis. They didn't even know they lost.
Me and you
They,
could fix me and you could fix the whole world without ever uploading another podcast. You see what I'm saying? It's like it doesn't even need technology if we just care about each other enough. And I care so
I,
much that I freak people out. You know what I'm saying? And they kick me out of their house because I make them feel bad for not caring. Like literally.
I absolutely know exactly what you're saying, and I was in the same position after my second time going to prison for growing marijuana, and I got out. and nobody cared because they thought I learned my lesson the first time with the feds, but I didn't. So now I had a state charge and it was sticking. And I was in a
Yeah.
work release program for a year, and I just needed somebody to give me a place to stay so I could get out. Right. And nobody wanted to give me a place to stay. They thought that, that I
So
was a fucked
so
up
I made
person because
my
I've
own
been to
place.
jail and stuff.
So I took so I took what I deserved, and I didn't ask anybody permission. I didn't seek it desperately. I was sleeping in my car for months and months, and I helped my mom move down here after my stepfather abandoned her and my younger brother. 25 years married. He's in the military. She's so aggressive, passive aggressive, neurotic, and all these things. She can't be honest in a conversation, so she'll just say things to hurt his feelings. And he's aggressive and harsh and coarse. So they're like, it's not going to work. He abandoned him, and I helped my mom move from El Paso to Houston. Packed everything, all their possessions. I moved their entire life's possessions with me and my younger brother, and she came down here and got a job. And then I come down here and ask her to go to the dentist with her, and she freaks out about money and starts bullying me because I just got here and I don't have a job. And I got in my mom's face, and she started punching me and assaulting me when I
Yeah.
wasn't physically threatening her at all. I was just in her face. I'm like, I'm speaking the truth. You're lying. I'm not going to get out of your face. If you don't like it, stop lying. And she
Yeah.
couldn't take it. And she lost her control of herself. And I stopped her. I slapped her off of me, and she called the cops on me, and I ended up in jail. So who's
You'll
looking
never
out for me?
you'll never believe this, but I'm going to tell you right now that that was biological weapons.
I know it
That's
was, but it was
exactly what I'm
also
talking about.
spiritual.
We're all dealing with it. All
It
of
was
us.
but it was more than that. It was more than that. It was her gut bacteria and the 5G on the smart meters on the house
And all her
and
programming
demons.
her whole life.
It was a three-prong attack from multiple angles, and she has no honesty and no frame of reference. She hasn't gone as deep as me. I'm at least willing to understand that there might be actually non-physical, invisible entities that can inflame your natural feelings further than you normally would. Plus, it's coming from inside out and from outside in, and they're
Especially if you
beaming in
ask them
thought
into
waves.
your heart, especially if you
This is
ritualistically ask them into your heart as a
this is
ritual
this has
that you're
been
told to do,
proven. Yeah, and
like
and the and
Jesus.
the electromagnetic brainwave uh frequencies that can be pumped out through your cell phone and through the smart meters. It's like they have a perfect um system. But
Yeah.
I'm an anomaly, and I'm proof that it doesn't matter what you've been through. It doesn't matter. And I've gone
I,
deeper than freaking Tony Robbins. I've gone deeper than Joe Rogan. I feel like I'm deeper than Alex Jones. I feel like I'm smarter than Elon Musk. And I'm not lying to myself. I'm not doing it for money or fame or attention or popularity. I'm the most unpopular person I know of. I have no friends. People don't even want to talk to me because my vibration is so high. And yet I can work a normal job and use money, and yet I know what the truth is. I know things aren't supposed to be this way, and I even have a better understanding of how to fix it than you do, and I eat meat.
how do you
You see
fix
what I'm
it then?
saying? So like,
What do you
get on
mean you
my
have a
level.
better
that's
way to
my
fix
that's
it than mine?
that's
What do you
my
mean you have a
point,
better
is
way
get
to?
on my
What do you
level.
mean you have a better way to fix it than mine?
The the first step is to for you to want to live with me. Not in any gay way. No sexuality, has nothing to do with money. It's only about spirituality and truth. The truth is, I deserve a place because I know how to help people. That's why I've been so attacked. Not because I'm irresponsible or out of control. I'm not crazy. I don't have a short temper. I'm very passionate. I'm very honest. I'm very intelligent. I'm very giving. I'm very selfless, but I'm also not greedy. So I don't have a lot. You know what I mean? But I've given people rides. I've given people my spare jackets. I've died trying to be friends with strangers, and they feed me poison and I overdose on some shit. I've been jumped. It's like anything you want to talk about.
Let me ask you a
My
question.
point is,
Have you
if
ever
I was
asked
in your
Jesus
position
in
and I met somebody like me, I would be like, get your ass over here and
yeah,
get yourself safe. That's like
yeah,
a mother and a father. That's
and
how
my
we should
Russian
feel
wife
about
would
good
divorce me.
people.
Yeah.
It's like how dare you not want to come and fix the world with me in my house? That's what your attitude should be towards good people. You know what I mean? Because it can only expand if you're honest and you're a true good soul or spirit or whatever you want to call it. Nothing should stop you. What's stopping us is the economy, and everybody's divided and struggling. the possibility for people to connect and live around each other and not piss each other off and not pester each other, it takes honesty, it takes patience, it takes going deeper. You know, it really
But
boils down to
you're
honesty.
saying that that we just need to fix the society we got with the money and the meat and the mind control, just the way it is. And I'm telling you that those three things are what the problem is, and not
I'm
the
proof.
victim. You're blaming the victim
I'm proof.
instead of
So that you can't, okay, so everybody knows about veganism and vegetarianism. A lot of people know about the gut bacteria, but it's the knowledge about it, and a lot of people knowing isn't changing it. So that proves that just the knowledge
it
of
changed it for
the
me.
reality of, I agree with you. The toxic gut bacteria that is giving you feelings of unnatural yearnings. I know we agree on that. The knowledge isn't fixing it. It's what we need to do and how we need to navigate. And what more knowledge are you lacking about Sahaja Yoga? The collectivity is more important than the knowledge and in eating
Let
right.
me ask you a
Being
question.
collective,
Have you ever
because you
asked
learn
Jesus?
faster in a
Have
collectivity. We learn faster.
have you ever asked Jesus Christ into your heart?
Yeah.
You did the ritual where you asked him from outside inside.
Yeah, I've done it multiple times and I didn't, I felt
Me
that there
too.
was something off with it. So,
Did you ever ask
so
him to
yeah,
get
I
out?
didn't focus on it because
Did you ever tell
I
him get
asked
out,
all
exercise him?
yes, multiple times, but in the right way. I said any misunderstandings, knowingly or unknowingly, that I've had, I command all falsehood and misunderstandings and manipulation that's been foisted upon my spirit, my entity, my body to leave. You have no dominion over me. And I've done that a couple of times. And I think that's a part of why I've broken into higher levels. It's because I use my voice with intention, with genuine 100% sincerity. And that's an opposite ritual, and it canceled it out. That's how I discovered Sahaja Yoga, I believe, because I broke free from the Christianity matrix of limiting. It's limiting
But
consciousness to a worship state. No,
it does.
you can
But
never be at that.
you're
I
still
agree. You can,
referencing Christ, and so it's still there. It's still
well,
inside you.
because I can
It's
use the
kingship
word,
over
but I know what
others.
it means.
It's a
I know what it
kingship
means.
over
I'm ultimately
others.
saying the
It creates an anomaly that
because we're not on
only
his
other
level yet.
people can, that
Did you
only
know
he can
that?
save.
Did you know that worshiping God Almighty helps you get to higher levels to where you don't have to worship anymore?
I, I haven't heard it that way, but what I did hear is that the God that created souls does not require or want worship. So that the whole thing people do in front of their dead carcasses at the dinner table, where they hold their hands up and put their head down, that's demiurge worship. That's nothing that the creator of souls or love and free will has any interest
So
in.
is the creator of souls God Almighty to you?
God Almighty is a derogatory term as far as I'm concerned regarding the creator of souls. God refers to Godriel, and it was nefariously married to our intellect hundreds of years ago. But the
But you're
God,
basing okay, so this is I just felt your problem. You're
if
basing your whole shtick, your core, the foundation of your knowledge is based on the lies and exposing the lies. But I'm saying my
Belial, the
foundation
lies,
is on
yes,
what's behind all the lies. I can use the
yes.
word God Almighty, and I know it means the benevolent creator of
Well,
realities.
when I was your age, I thought the same thing, and I don't know if you've seen any of my videos where I try to explain to Christians that I'm not an atheist. I never stopped praying to the same God. I just didn't know that my prayer was being misdirected by a black magic group of people that had written some false stuff that I was accidentally following, and I was directing it to the wrong
So
dude.
you can
But
so
but
I can pray to Belial, but I'm actually praying to God Almighty. It's what I know.
I don't think
I can
so.
use a word.
I think if you call
No,
Belial, you're calling Belial.
I can use a word. I can use any word and mean inside my heart. I mean God, and God knows and accepts the prayer and
Okay,
answers it.
yes, yes, and he
And
did
you
work
because you
through
can
my
use the
heart in
word
prison.
God because you can alternatively you can be using the word God and not knowing you're praying to extraterrestrials, you know?
Sure,
So
sure.
it's
And God
all
doesn't
about knowledge and intention.
right, but
Knowledge
the
and
more
intention
responsible you.
trump words.
But And when I was your age, it wouldn't have I would have made the same argument, not knowing any different, and it wouldn't have mattered, right? But as you get more knowledge, your intention also has to change with the gathering of wisdom. That's why you get better at things, because you gain more knowledge, and so you become more articulate at demonstrating wisdom. And when you're younger, when you're 33, all the angst is there, but you just don't have, you haven't gathered what you're going to gather in 10 more years. And that's the reason you're going to live 10 more years. There's a reason you're going to get more, and it's going to be better because you got more.
But a
And
person,
so
but I agree with that, and that's true, generally speaking. But it's also possible, which I think is what's happening with me and you, that a younger person can actually discover more pure knowledge than an older person.
I never said that that couldn't be done at all. I mean, like
I'm saying that's, I believe, is what's happening.
where?
Because
Right here?
I already know and agree with everything that you're talking about.
Mhm.
At least conceptually, I've already accepted as reality. But what I'm saying is that you haven't accepted what I've discovered. I already discovered what you're telling me about, and you're struggling to see that I already understand it. You don't even understand how.
The soul transcends meat, the soul transcends money, the soul transcends government. I understand that. But I'm just trying to make life better for people while they're here. I know that things are going to be okay
Mhm.
when it's over, but while they're here, if people
What
want
if
to make a
Sahaja
difference that
Yoga?
cleans up their life, then they can do it by getting rid of those three things.
Yeah. What if Sahaja Yoga, it can help you help people even better? That's what I'm saying.
I don't I don't think that yoga, if it's based on Buddhism, can help
Yoga means
anything get better.
connection. Yoga means connection with God. The ancient language comes from the Vedic,
Mm,
from the Sanskrit.
yeah.
The ancient language. Yoga was a word that manifested when men were trying to explain the feelings and experiences they were having with connecting with the highest love and truth possible. They were going into meditation, and they're like, what shall we call this ecstasy, this bliss, this neutral peace, this neutral sanctuary that we found within our being, within our psyche. It's so
Yeah.
beautiful. It's like you sit there in meditation and you start having no thoughts, and
But
you
they're not
start
the
feeling
first
better
ones
and
to think
better.
of it. They were just the first ones to
Yes,
start writing it down after
but
the last deluge.
right, but that's not my point. My point is that the word yoga doesn't mean acrobatics or stretching or showing off. It
Right.
means meditation,
Right.
connection with God. So
I thought there was
so
another
what you
meaning
just
for the
said
word, but
essentially is,
yes.
okay. So that's what I discovered. One thing that I believe is vitally misunderstood by 99% of humanity is that yoga actually means connecting correctly with God. So what does Sahaja yoga mean? It means correctly connecting with God after realizing that we were created to do this. This is our destiny. Even though we might have been a mistake, a genetic experiment made to be slaves essentially for extraterrestrials to do all sorts of tasks for them. Like we're trying to create AI robots. Some advanced extraterrestrial race needed slaves that were way smaller, easily controlled. They didn't do it to enslave us. They didn't do it we want something to bully and enslave. No, it was like, we need help. We can make
Yeah, a
these
tool.
biological entities. Let's put our DNA. Yeah.
A
What'd you
tool.
say?
We were just a tool that they needed to use for a small purpose,
Yes.
and then they left
But
us here.
God's like, I knew this was going to happen, and I wanted all these things to happen because it's beautiful when the consciousness begins to manifest greater and greater. It's like the greatest drama. It's like the only reason anything exists
Sure,
is
but you're
to
talking
witness
about
the
different
rising of consciousness.
you're talking about different gods. So there's a god
Yeah.
that was part of that's part of the
So when I
physical
say,
creation.
I'll tell you, when I say God, I mean the singular source of all existence, the benevolent
Well,
creator of all potentials. God.
you mean the
I'm
creators.
not being facetious. I'm not being ignorant. I'm not trying to dance around the issue. It's allow yourself the simplicity of knowing that the word God actually means what we think it means. So you don't have to cut me off every time I say God and you keep trying to say I'm saying something else and I'm actually not. So please don't do
Just so
that.
you know, you've got 95% of the airtime so far. I'm being very patient with you. I'm trying to explain something to you, and you won't even let me. You're just talking.
Well, you put words in my mouth and I defend myself. You said I
You
said
can.
something that I know I didn't mean.
I'm not even able to explain myself. Able to get two words in, and then you go off.
You,
And I think that's because of the meat.
you just said you just said about me. when you say God, you don't know you're actually, no, I do know what I'm saying, but when I say
There's more
God,
than
so
one
you're putting
God.
words in my mouth, and
There's the God of the Bible.
I know that. I
Okay.
know
And
that, but
is
you
that
should
who you're
know
referring
that
to? Are you referring to the God who
I'm not
created
talking about
Christ?
demigods. No, I'm
Okay.
not. I'm
The one
talking
that created
about
the
the one
earth.
true God. I'm not talking about demigods. I'm not
Okay.
talking about extraterrestrials that call themselves gods or got people to worship them. I'm talking about the singular source of all infinity,
On the
God.
other side, on
Don't,
the other side,
don't
not the one in this
misunderstand
realm,
me.
the one
Don't
that
misunderstand
created
me,
our
please.
souls, the one
He's
that created our
everywhere.
souls. It's not a he.
He's the one that
It's
it
not a
at
he.
least allowed everything to happen. It's a he and a she.
Sure.
It's where he and she came from, male and female
It's
energy.
so different than the God from the Bible. It could only be known as love because there's no such thing as evil, fear, revenge, or
I agree.
genocide involved in its consciousness. So it's that far removed
Thank
from
you.
that lower demiurge that
That's what I
created
mean.
Christ in the
That
Bible.
what you just said, that's what I mean. When I say God, you just
Okay.
explain what I'm trying to tell you I'm
Yes.
saying when I say God. So let's
Then we're
stop
in
wasting time and
okay, well, we're
understanding each
not
other.
because a lot of people think you're talking about the Bible when you use Christ and God, and you keep using them interchangeably. And you're talking about a nefarious invention by a lower demiurge. And then you're tying it to the creator of
Okay.
souls interchangeably, willy nilly. And it's like, I've
But I'm
got to
doing it
separate them.
consciously knowing, but I'm doing it consciously because I understand the truth of what happened. I know that the entity that was named as Christ means it has multiple names. He has multiple names. The character of Jesus Christ, whatever name it was, whatever lies have been told about him, I know for a fact he was benevolent. He was very powerful, very knowledgeable spiritually. He wanted he wanted freedom and spontaneity and love and everybody to care about each other. I believe he was a real flesh and blood being that existed, walked this earth around 2,000 years ago. And they might have actually, I think you're right that his name might have been different. They might have swapped some people, but I still know
It's
that the
pretty
entity of
significant if his
Christ
name
is
was
not evil.
Judas. That's pretty significant if his name was Judas. That's a huge
The
deviation
information
from
and
the
the
Christ of
mission,
the Bible.
the information, the information and the mission is more important than whatever they switched his name with.
I
Because
don't think
every name
so.
is beautiful in God's kingdom.
Yeah, but if you go switch it,
If everybody evolves and stops doing evil and keeps their same names, then the reality changes, not the names.
but we
So
can't
I'm
evolve
talking
if
about the
we
Christ that's benevolent.
but we can't evolve if we're accidentally pitching the same bad information that got us into this environment, which is Christ and the God of the Bible.
The information is universal. The information I'm saying is universal. It's an axiomatic, widely accepted truth. Do unto others as you would have them do unto yourself. Based
Yes,
on what?
yes.
Old
But they tied it
absolute
to
truth.
but they tied it to pay your taxes, and you're trying to not care about that. Oh, it doesn't matter. And I'm saying that's how we
No, I
got
do.
here,
No, I
is
do.
that they tied it to that.
I'm not trying to not care about that. I'm not
Well,
trying
they
to not
did.
care
They
about
tied it
that.
to that. The taxes never went
I'm trying
down.
to
They kept
explain.
going up. They lied to us. The whole thing was a
Well, if
lie.
everybody was like me, money and taxes wouldn't exist if everybody was like me. So you can't put words on me. You know, that's who I am.
Well, and if the person who Jesus Christ is based upon had not been crucified and his legacy had been properly carried to us, you probably wouldn't eat carcasses either. For the same reason they didn't, because they were following Pythagoras. And that's pretty important
Right.
that that the governments are so concerned about making sure that you don't know the diet and the reasoning for the diet and its teachings about the eternal soul that Pythagoras tried to explain to people, that they invented the Old Testament to shut him down. And it worked for a little while, but about 500 years later, James, Judas, John all pop up and say, wait a minute, we're having a revolution. No more money, meat, and mind control. We're going back to the Pythagorean teachings. And then the government shut it down again with a
Let
2,000
me
year
put it this
lasting
way.
patch this time. And you're saying none of that matters. And it absolutely matters. There's
Yeah.
no way out of this papal bag
Okay.
with meat, money, and mind control.
You know why they didn't. You know why they didn't succeed? Because they weren't on my level. How about that?
I, I mean, you one man can't do it alone. We need to all wake up simultaneously. And even if there
Well,
was one guy that was really good, he wouldn't be
I'm
able to
not.
do it alone.
I'm not stopping anybody. I'm not the one standing in anybody's way. I'm not stopping anybody. People are stopping themselves from hearing the knowledge that I believe is vital that I understand. I've realized things. I wasn't like, how can I fool myself into this random new religion I discovered? I was praying to God for years. I want the truth. I know I want the truth. You could torture me and make me say I don't want the truth, but I know I still want the truth. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing anybody can tell me to convince me that what I know for a fact 100%, I only want the truth. What does that mean then? It means that people are either on my level or they're not. They either want the truth or they don't
Well, I wouldn't get very
in
far
some
if I
way.
said that to people. I think you would imagine you probably wouldn't even be talking to me right now if I talk like that. If I said that nobody's
No,
on my level, nobody would listen to me. None of my videos would be successful at all.
I
That
think
they'd
there's
turn them off.
I
And
think there's
so, I
people
mean,
I think there's people that are on. I'm not sure because I'm willing to do anything. If there's
I,
people above my level, that which there might be people,
there's
I
what
believe
if
it's very
what
possible and very likely
if
that
there's
there's
no
people
level? What if we're all the same? What if every single person is no better, no worse than the person that Jesus was based upon that tried to turn
in
over the money
potential we
changers'
are.
tables?
In potential we are, but not in action.
Well, we all have
We
different
all have the
levels
same
of
potential.
we all have different levels of experience. Some of us have spent more time on
Yes.
the bench press than others. So yes, we're
Yes.
not all the
Yes.
same, but that doesn't
Right.
mean that somebody couldn't learn tomorrow what is necessary to be the the person that they wanted to be a year from now. And so like,
Everything
you
you've
know,
said, everything you've said, generally speaking, I greatly agree with everything you said. There's nothing that you've said that I haven't already accepted as being largely true. Mostly in the most of the part. I just have some added things that I've added to what you're saying.
when I
Different
talk to my
aspects of
mother,
looking at it.
I know my mother's never going
Huh?
to listen to this video as long as we've been talking. So I feel like I can safely say this. I've had similar experiences with my mom. When I basically ran away from the East Coast to come out to Colorado, I was trying to look for some type of connection in her that where we were on the same page about 9/11, about what was going on with the
Right.
church and the bank and the government.
That's what's going to fix
And
the world.
she was like, her responses were
She attacked you.
manufactured. They were
Yeah.
manufactured. She
Scary.
would have attacked me if I kept going, and I wanted to keep going just like you did. And I was pushing her in exactly the same way, and that's happened since then. And one in the last
Yeah.
time that I pushed her to try to get this information inside of her and try to extract the demon, boy, that thing came out. It came out, and it wasn't even the same
Yeah.
person. Yeah, I feel like she could have grabbed a
Right.
utensil and hurt me with it, not even knowing what she was doing because she was possessed at that moment.
Yeah.
And so, to trying to
Yeah.
explain to people the level of the depth of indoctrination that would make somebody go and kill for their government an innocent person is the same thing that makes a mother not want to see her son anymore because his reality
Yeah.
isn't fitting with her indoctrination or what she knows about television
Right.
or what her and her sewing circle talk about every single day.
Exactly.
And God forbid she
I know.
starts bringing this up with them, or
So,
she wouldn't have any
so the only
friends.
way, what I discovered from my own ponderings as well as Sahaja Yoga, filling in these gaps because I lack the confidence. It really, what do you call it? It solidified or whatever what's the word, it proved my own ponderings correct with such a weight from all the work that she did, from all the thousands of people that study her and agree with her and thank her daily because she worked tirelessly so hard. She went to every continent. She spoke to so many people, more than any other guru, more than anybody else that you want to talk about. She made them all look like, little kids, and she had so much love, so much knowledge. She could, at a drop of a hat, go deeper than any human I've ever seen. But my point is that what I realized is that in general, we can't fix these people that aren't even halfway to where me and you are at. We can't fix them directly. The only way we can do it is by guys like us going higher together, and we become such an attractive sight. Not sexually, but attractive in so many ways because we have all our shit together. We protect each other. We stand up for each other. There's nothing that we disagree on. We understand each other. We protect each other. We look out for each other. We allow each other freedom, time to grow. We don't push and force. We don't misunderstand each other. We don't put words in each other's mouths. We speak for each other. You know what I mean? We stand for the truth. That's what Christ, in my opinion, that's what Christ was doing with the disciples. Okay, so that's how you fix those people. they may not fix in this lifetime, but if you keep it up, you sustain and you create a portal of good energy that God comes closer to and gives you more powers, more miracles start happening. So many Sahaja yogis have such amazing stories of when they were together, like miracles just popping off, like supernatural experiences and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
what do you call it? Like anomalies and like visions, or not visions, but like really quirky, cute little innocent things, like the fire would like make a face, and like she would show up in the clouds, and just amazing innocent things. It's not like, oh, here's a diamond manifested out of minute. And it was like really deep, loving, like motherly things, gestures. So it's like you can feel it. I can feel it. That it's like, whoa, I didn't even know this level of innocence was like happening on the planet. So it's like there's nobody even wants money. They're so drunk with caring about each other in such deeper ways than I've ever seen
I'm
groups of
not trying to
people care
talk or
about each
take
other.
away
That's
from
what I've been
that.
looking for.
I'm not trying to
That's
take
what I've
away
been
from
looking
that.
for.
And I'm not
And
trying
I'm
to
struggling. And I think the demons can see beyond space and time. Some of them have powers. They knew I was coming. They saw my weaknesses, that I have a little bit of lust, and they put a really beautiful girl in my life at a really young age and just cut my chances of being free to move around the earth and connect with people. So they found my one weakness and used it against me. They got me to act out my own weaknesses because I was kind of had amnesia coming back into this life. They do so many things, I believe, spiritually. The moon has to do with it. I believe our spirit or our soul gets funneled through the moon, and our memories from our past life get erased and wiped, or suppressed, at least, like chained. And then they use us in different ways for labor, but they also, there's beings that feed off of our emotional energy. When we fight with each other, they love it. They suck all our, the energy gets heightened, and you literally start to channel more chi into your body, and you start, your heart beats faster, your blood beats faster, you produce more white blood cells, and you're also putting off more like radiation, and they suck it from people fighting, and especially war. This is why war keeps on. There's demons that are non-physical. They suck and they feed off of the energy of war, and guys like me and you dividing and fighting each other. That's what they want. They want us to not agree with each other. They want us to get angry and frustrated with each other and give up on each other. And I've never done that. I've never given up on somebody who I can see that, if they at least are being honest. But that's the problem. I haven't even found a person that can sustain the honesty and keep going higher. I mean,
So
the
I
knowledge you're
remember
talking about,
I
it's
I left my side of the country because there was no person, and then I found out it had to be me, and so I literally crawled into a
yeah,
hole
well,
for about 8 years with just me and just loved me, and then
yeah, yeah.
I
That's
started to become
necessary too.
attractive. I started to become attractive to the right kind of female after going on that sabbatical from looking
Yeah.
for a significant other and turning that significant other into me. It was kind of selfish, but
Yeah.
when I
No,
reemerged,
it's
I,
the right form of being, it's the divine form of being selfish. And I can concur with the point you're making, because I can feel myself do that too. I'm like, oh, that girl's really cute, but then I'm like, oh wait, I'm way deeper than that. And I start to like, I'm like, oh, it's not just about the body. And I'm like, yeah, I'm dummy. And then I start to feel the energy, and I'm like, whoa, it's dangerous. Women are dangerous because they're only thinking about either how cute you are or how much money you have. Like,
uh,
not even 1% of women are like, how honest is he, how selfless is he, how much does he want to save the world? There's like
you
no
should
women out here doing that or saying that to themselves.
check out Mark Passio. Mark Passio has the biggest body of research I've ever seen on what you just said. And I probably wouldn't have ever
Yeah,
had a
and I
successful
came to these
relationship if I didn't
realizations.
know.
Yeah, I had all these epiphanies myself spontaneously. I didn't hear people say it. It just got confirmed. There's so many people who don't even think or ever have these epiphanies. They put up so many walls. They've allowed the conditioning to literally enslave them. And this is what Bob Marley was talking about, like emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Everybody
Yeah.
says it, all the saints, all the prophets, Muhammad,
And then Capitol
Krishna,
Records killed
Buddha,
him. Capitol Records
huh?
killed him with a $2,000 pair of handmade Italian shoes that they put a syringe inside. So when he tried them on in front of the executives from Capitol Records, it injected him with something that killed him through a fast advancing cancer through his large toe, his big toe. And they ended up telling us a story that he broke his toe playing
I knew it.
soccer and
See,
it turned to
but
gangrene, but they killed him. It's in a book by John
yes, I
Potash.
knew it. Hey, when I heard the story of him dying from cancer in his leg, I knew that they killed him. Just like I know they killed George Carlin. I know they killed people like Heath Ledger, either by directly or getting them to do it themselves. They wouldn't have naturally done that if the world was a healthy place or demons weren't possessing people around them to influence them or pressure them or force them. Like Michael Jackson, I believe, was forced to overdose on medicine.
Sure, sure, absolutely.
I
Um,
think they killed Robin Williams. I think they killed a lot of people.
Hey, listen,
MLK.
my
You know,
second Bluetooth is about to die. I brought two down here, and now I'm about to lose my second one.
just
It's crackling on me.
use
So if
your
you want to
speaker
wrap
on
it
your
up,
phone. Use
I'm
a
not on
speaker
my
on your
phone.
phone.
I'm not on my phone. I'm on my wife's computer.
She doesn't have a
Um,
mic in it, huh? Okay.
I'm using her Zoom because she's a professional hypnotist, and she has an unlimited Zoom account that doesn't cut us off at 40 minutes. And we made it an hour and a half. We just or an hour and 20
Yeah.
minutes, but my
Good.
Bluetooth speaker is going to bust, and I don't have any other microphone on this thing. Also, I've got to get to bed, but because I've got two
Yeah.
babies and a wife that's been waiting for me all day, and I haven't been able to see her. But I wanted to do this with you. But if you want to get the last word in,
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
Oh man. No matter how much knowledge any of us discover, even if it's true, it can be completely true. It doesn't matter how much we learn unless we act it out properly, collectively. And the best way I've discovered, in my honest, genuine opinion, the knowledge that has been compiled within Sahaja Yoga is the most comprehensive and the most important and the most precise form of truth available on planet Earth at this time. It goes into the chakras. I believe it properly laid out the names and the attributes of the seven chakras that we need to pull into our center, because people are either too left-sided or too right-sided, or they have mixtures of a lot of different things. The more you centralize is the more pure knowledge you gain, and you start to gain understanding of what the throat chakra means. What does it mean to forgive yourself and others and be collective in the crown chakra, and what it means, these principles that are psychological, philosophical, and biophysical are also non-physically measurable with scientific devices, measurable measuring devices. And a lot of the things that have been laid out that people struggle with accepting about Sahaja Yoga have been proven by scientists. And it's just how much time do you have to understand it? Because I didn't go into it blindly, and I'm still studying it. That's how big it is. And 99% of the population doesn't even believe that chakras exist, but they've been proven. People have taken pictures of the aura. We have a bioelectromagnetic field, but there's stages inside of our body, and they deal with sexual purity, emotional purity, being fearless. The heart chakra is being fearless. That means about anything. And this is what I mean. It's so deep.
Yeah. As
Every
above, so
every
below. I
discussion,
mean, the tarot deck, all of that
yeah.
is lines up with the upper and lower arcana of the chakra system in the body and the
and
chakra
and
system
demons
in the
understand these things.
macrocosmos. Well, yeah, that's because that's
There's
their
even there's
world.
even
That
gurus
is their world. And
that,
outside
yeah,
of their
they
world,
know,
these
yeah,
things don't matter, though. That's another thing I wanted to share with you. All of the signs, the
yeah.
people,
But it's the
where
only
was
way out.
Saturn when you were born? Where was Jupiter when you were born? Where was
Right.
the star Sirius? Guess what? When you pass,
People become obsessed. You
when
can
you
become
pass,
obsessed with anything. You can
you're
become too obsessed with anything.
we are inside a small world right now that was invented by a demiurge. And when we come out of it and go back to our home on the other side, where there's nothing but love and no demons exist, and they're all stuck in this little realm that we talk about like it's old times, like old war stories. None of that matters. So becoming somebody who's expert at mapping out the stars, again, you're becoming really excellent at that at the environment of the vacation that you're on, the educational experience that you're on. But when you get into the realm of the soul, which is the most important realm that we spend most of our time in, none of the stars and signs and any of that stuff matter. Even the chakras are of little consequence, but they
Mhm.
are of incredible consequence because we want to
Once
know
you perfect
how this
yourself,
body and
I
mind works.
disagree. I think it's actually vital, and we can't transcend without full knowledge of the chakras. But once you break free, you're pure and you don't focus on them because there's nothing attacking you. There's nothing you're limiting yourself with. So yes, Srimachaji said it's very difficult to become a deity, and which is another way of saying what you're saying.
Well, you're
But it's
already a
very easy
deity,
to
but
make.
you mean what's to stop incarnating, to stop this lessons experience here, right?
Yeah, but we don't need to stop incarnating here. We need to fix it so that we can come back and forth freely and play in the physical whenever we feel like and go back to the non-physical whenever we need. But
Interesting.
there's a block, there's a wall there. We're not free to move about effortlessly. Some people say the Sasquatch can move. Some people have had the Sasquatch tell them, "Do you know who Jesus Christ is?" And they go, "Yes, but not like you know them." And she goes, "What do you mean?" He goes, "We can go where he is." So people have seen Sasquatch disappear. They might just
Well,
come here to play around.
you're also talking about the gnome and the pixie are also known. There's a lot of information going back for thousands of years about the gnomes and the pixies
Yeah, well,
materializing and dematerializing.
when you're an angelic multi-dimensional angel, you probably could be at like 20,000 different places at once, and people are just seeing like your hair in the wind, but they see a fairy. It's like just an aspect of your energy. So we have such a small framework that we're allowing ourselves to work within. And when there's love and honesty and fearlessness and benevolence, genuine benevolence, nothing you do can really be evil because you're ultimately going to reach the highest levels and be
That's why
free.
free will
And
is
I think I came
synonymous
here
with
on
love,
purpose to
because
help.
if you're
I don't think
guided
I'm
by the
trapped
conscious.
here. I think I came here on purpose to help, and it's really hard to help people that don't want the truth. But it's like I can't stop loving people. I'm not going to sacrifice my life if it's not going to change them, but I refuse to stop coming here purposefully and suffer their ignorance because I have that much love. They don't even understand. They think I'm insane. They think I'm stupid. I'm wrong. And I'm like, I can just easy for me to see being nice is knowing the truth and being honest and caring about the truth and living the truth with each other, or at least wanting it. If you're not allowed to, if there's a boot on your neck, at least you would do it if you were allowed to. Most people are scared to, like it's crazy, man. It's like we hold the keys. We're the only ones with the keys, and we're not sharing them with each other. It's like I have the key to your door, and you have the key to my door. And God's like, I did it this way, so you'll have to work together. And you're like, no, we're just gonna stay low. What's going on here? I'll transcend over here by myself. I don't even think you're allowed to go into heaven if you don't transcend with other people. I'm like, you're like, no. God's like, you almost got it. You got to do it with like 10,000 people though, and then you can get into heaven. I'll let the demons reincarnate you and have their way with you until you figure it out. We're supposed to do it together, not because we have to, because it's the most beautiful way to do it. It's the best way, and it's the fastest and most powerful way. That's what Sahaja Yoga is, the best, purest form of collectivity, uniting all the truths from all the religions. You know, I think is how it would happen. Slowly, we fix all the food supply, which is one of your hangups. Is like, yes, everything becomes organic, and then slowly people stop needing meat, even if it's pure 100% organic. We don't eat cows or pigs, but like chickens, we still eat chickens for a couple hundred years, and then eventually there's no stress, and we don't need that protein anymore. And then naturally, we like it just falls off, just falls off. But you're like wanting to like force people, you have to be vegan, you have to do this. It's like it's not going to fix unless no, people aren't going to become vegan until they understand Sahaja Yoga. The whole world is not going to become vegan until after everybody understands Sahaja Yoga fully. And there we don't need so much hard protein to bolster our bodies against the physical and spiritual attacks. Because I think there's a spiritual tool in meat and in organic meat that does something to your body while also doing bad things to you. But it's like this is the level we're at. This is the reality we're at. Not all meat is created equal. And I think our destiny is to transcend even physical form to where we don't even need to eat. So it's like I agree with you, but I'm like I've gone lower and higher than you, and you're just stuck on like the next step has to be going vegetarian. It's like no, it doesn't actually. There's
So
so many other things that need to happen
you
before it'll effortlessly fall off. Meat will just effortlessly fall off.
you're
People won't
never
feel
gonna
bad about it.
you're never gonna I haven't really gone off much, but I'm going to go off on one last thing for about a minute before we go.
Okay,
Um,
I'll let you talk. I'm gonna mute
is
my mic.
you may disagree with me, but if you go back and watch this video, you're going to notice that you have a lot of anxiety, and I had the same anxiety, and it caused me a great deal of trouble and struggle. And it's not because I'm 49 now that I've gotten rid of that anxiety just because I'm older. I've still got the same energy level and the same interest in fighting and just running in headstrong and sacrificing myself for the right cause if I could find it. I still have some of that in me, but I can tell you when I was eating meat, there was something going on inside me that I had very little control over. And people would tell me that I did, but I didn't really understand what they meant by it because I felt like I was in more control than anybody else because I had my shit together. But um, I I I I had something that I couldn't put my finger on that made me work against my own best interests. And it wasn't until I dated this girl that and found out that most of us are carrying biological weapons that were created by Fort Detrick for political control, that it started to dawn on me that people that have my condition are filling the prisons with passion. They're they're just like you. They're like, fuck all this. This doesn't make sense. I know that these people, they can't even think at my level, and they go and they rob a bank, or they go and they take somebody's head off with one punch because they've been building it all up inside. And no one really understands that that's a rickettsia infection. And you're not going to believe me because you've never even looked it up. But a rickettsia infection is 100% undetectable and you'll never even know you had it. But what it'll do is it'll make you, like my brother, my little brother, when we go out to eat, if we start having this conversation, he'll get so, he can't even sit at the table. He's got to go out in the parking lot and blow off steam. He hyperventilates. He can't talk. He starts losing it on me. And and we're talking about meat. We're talking about meat for fuck's sake. It's not shouldn't be something that he's ready to kill somebody over, but that's his core reaction. You're not doing that. You're a lot more under control than that. But
Yeah,
it's
everything I do is on purpose, not a whimsy.
but you do have a level of angst that you would have more control over, I think, if you would at least do a little research into what Fort Detrick weaponized when they invented Swiss Agent USA and why they sent William Bergdorfer all over the world to try to find a parasite that did what this parasite does. And it doesn't look like you would think it would look in people. It looks like you when you're excited. It looks like when your mom when she's ready to kill you and kick you out of the house and doesn't want to talk to you anymore. I mean, what kind of zombie doesn't want to talk to her son anymore? Somebody under Rickettsia helvetica. That's what it is. And they literally dumped that into our society. They sprayed it over us with airplanes in the 50s. And that's what they were doing 70 years ago. Think about the weaponized shit they're spraying on us now. And we're all absorbing this and acting like our diet doesn't matter when we don't even realize we're feeding the colonies that they're putting into us. And so this isn't just a biblical debate. These things were true 2,000 years ago, 2,500 years ago, when Pythagoras was trying to teach us not to eat carcasses because it gave us worms and spirochetes. He didn't know that they were going to be inventing weaponized Rickettsia helvetica that was undetectable, and they were going to be spraying it over populations, and it would be congenitally passed to children generation after generation until we ended up in the idiocracy that we're in today. And if you think that the average level of stupidity that we see in the grocery store today and the level of unhealth that we see in the grocery store today isn't related to exactly the type of biological weapons for political control that I'm talking about, you'd be wrong, because it leads to 600 different neurological
It's
conditions that are misdiagnosed in the United States on by accident because the people that aren't trained to look for rickettsias, so they're catching this thing after it turns into some other monster like Parkinson's or bipolar disorder, which is what most people are showing it as. So when you date a girl and she goes batshit crazy on you, that's because she's literally got shit flowing through her mind, her bloodstream from all the parasites she's feeding with the Cheetos and the sugar and the McTrips to McDonald's and God knows what else she's putting in her body. And we're all purposely kept stupid so that we continue to hate each other and have these interactions that look like people that are under biological weapon attack, because they are. And you're saying it doesn't matter. That if they just try
It
hard
doesn't
enough, they can
matter.
bust through it.
It doesn't matter to a soul on my level. That's my point.
It's affecting you right now. And that's what I'm saying. 10 years from now, when we go back and watch this video, if you change your diet and and like you've literally replaced every cell in your body with one that's not compromised from the years of meat eating, you'll be a different person. You'll be calmer. Like, I'm not trying to act like you'll be at my level, because I'm probably lower than your level as far as my outward behavior and angst and anger. But that's
I'm
because
not.
I'm backed up from where I
I
was.
don't in any way. I don't see in any way the way I've spoken tonight as being anxious or angry.
No, I said well, yes, anxious. I think that you definitely seemed
No,
anxious,
no.
I
I'm not
think.
anxious. No, I've transcended all that literally
Well, let me ask you a question. When you said that you made
without
that
taking meat out of my diet.
when you
I don't even need fully organic. But
when you
it's knowing the deeper truth that protects you from these attacks ultimately, because that's saying that somebody can control you just by locking you in a cage and feeding you what they want. I can transcend that. You can put me in a cage and keep me alive for 1,000 years, and it's my choice on how peaceful I'm going to feel.
you know
The
that
people at the lower levels, they don't have that understanding about spiritual knowledge that gives them the peace. I know because I didn't always have it at the level I have it now.
that's like saying if you
So
inject somebody with enough steroids and their soul is strong enough, they won't have a roid rage
you
episode.
can build a resistance up to anything. I believe that.
Sure,
But
but
it starts with your willpower. Now,
sure, but you can't expect
I couldn't inject
everybody.
myself with a poison, like for to kill an elephant, but slowly, my point isn't you should just let yourself eat whatever you, because that's the lie. I try to eat as clean as I possibly can, and I think a large part of the attack on my life is to make it difficult for me to eat good. So I agree with you. My point is, like, you're saying this is what it is, and I'm saying no, it's that, but that's just a piece of like so much bigger.
Right, but I'm
And
trying to.
it's not even the most important thing. To
But I'm
most
saying.
people, it is one of the most powerful weapons. But to somebody who has more knowledge and love and willpower, it doesn't affect somebody like me
I agree
anywhere
with
near it does most
I would
people.
have agreed with you. In fact, I used to make fun of vegans until I was 40.
And
Um,
raising your voice doesn't instantly mean that you're anxious or angry or out of control.
no, I
I
do.
give a shit about humanity, and it hurts me to see how hard it is for people to accept truth. And I choose to get passionate to show people. Honest, I'm being honest. I'm not being out of control. I'm not out of. I don't have.
I
It's not
get
like I
out of
don't have any
control.
control.
I get
So,
out of control.
but you,
Remember when I said
but
that I had that problem with my mom? She saw me as an out of control person,
but I wasn't
and
out of control.
and then
Out of
she
control
became out of
would have been punching my mom or beating her. I
right.
slapped her once.
But
I
but but
wasn't out
but
of control.
but in that one instance that you guys were talking about, she
I
saw
didn't.
you as out of control, and then she
Yeah.
went out of
Yes.
control. And
Yes.
I'm saying that's
Because
bioweapon.
she's the problem. Because she's the problem, not me.
I'm saying it's bioweapons, and you're letting the government off the hook.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that's a part of it. You're saying it's the
Yes.
whole thing.
I'm saying that it's such a significant part of the thing that it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for it.
I agree, but my point is that you're right, but there's more. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, there's more, but I do think trying to go through life without knowing that they're spraying us with things that make us act ape shit is a handicap, to say the least. People
It's
have to
like
know this is going on.
you're talking about the bacteria in the kiddie pool, and I'm talking about the Mariana Trench and the Leviathan. It's like
Correct, but
we're
you're never
agreeing.
going to. But
We agree. You're just not going you're not going deep in with me
but if you
as I
can't
want to go.
clean your kiddie pool, you can't slay Leviathan. The reason I'm called Jesuit Slayer on my channel is because I plan on doing that one day, slaying Leviathan. But I can't do that if I don't start by cleaning the kiddie pool.
Like I said, I've had such a good diet from such a young age. I was really blessed and lucky. That the family I married into was literally like 99% organic. And I never felt like super. I know if I had a cleaner diet, I would have had more energy and all this, but I was still able to work really hard and learn and be very active and physical. I was doing backflips off of roofs and landing on my feet and
You're
doing
still in your
parkour.
prime. You're still in your prime.
My point is it's very minuscule to me at this point because I have such a good constitution. Now I know I have bacteria, but I'm dominating it. It's not dominating
I
me,
was
but I
too
know
when I
that.
was your age. I was
But I
too.
know that. I know I can be cleaner and there will be benefits, but it's not what's stopping Earth from fixing everything with me.
That's
It's
okay.
men it's men like you not wanting to know what I know that you don't know.
I do know
That's
what
not an
you know.
insult. That's not an insult.
I don't
What
know
I'm
about that
saying is
particular brand of yoga, but I do know about the chakra systems and the tarot
she
cards and why they
even she has over 10,000 lectures and I haven't even seen half of them.
yeah.
There's so much. The only conclusion I've been able to come to is she was freaking God because she knew so much. She had so much energy. She was all over the place. She never got hung up on anything. Nothing trapped her. That's how she was able to go to every continent constantly her entire adult life without sinning, without lying, without cheating anybody. She was giving away her wealth. Her husband was, I think, a normal human, and he was a part of Indian maritime trading, and she married him because she knew that he was going to help her supply the money, and she bought locations. All her followers fixed up dilapidated houses and made them into like many mansions that like people still live in now these days. Dozens of people cooking together, cleaning, meditating together, traveling together, healing people together, not doing any drugs. A lot of them are vegetarians.
Yeah.
They've had experiences and they have abilities that I don't have. These are the people I'm talking about that are above me. I don't have any envy. I have no jealousy for them. I want to go and live with them, but nobody's helping me break free. And it's not one thing. It's not I need money or I need a place to sleep or I need this. It's somebody being on the level of my honesty. I can tell you the truth about myself about anything because I don't have shame or guilt or fear. I'm not insecure. I'm confident naturally and it's sincere, it's genuine. And the proof is that I could have taken advantage of my good looks. I could have been sly and all business savvy. I could have screwed other people over. Instead, I chose to stand up for the little guy. I got ran over my whole life, and I'm still doing it to this day. I've gotten better at it too. And the world is at a higher level than it was 10 years ago. People are growing, but I think it looks like it's getting worse because it is, but it's getting worse because we're going higher. People that weren't questioning 20 years ago, who would have never questioned 5 years ago, they're starting to question now.
Yeah,
And the
but that
demons are
didn't
like, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, shit, oh, fuck.
yeah, but
You
that
know?
didn't stop the jabs. That didn't stop the jabs.
No,
And the church didn't warn a damn person about those jabs because the church
no.
was in on it.
Yeah, they're in on it. I know.
Every time
I
we
know they are.
plug Christ, we plug those fucks. Just so you know.
I disagree. If you're a normal Christian and you say Christ, it's a sin. If you're a Sahaja yogi and you say Christ, you mean the energy of God that comes directly to earth in order to help us.
Krishna
And
conscious.
also I've heard a person say I felt like it was true. The first sound that was ever uttered in the universe after it was created was cracking. Christ. Like Chris is like beauty manifesting. Like a flower opening. If you had a little tiny microphone next to a flower when it blooms, it's like it's crack. It's like an egg cracking or the universe expanding, the universe coming into being. And it's not all evil. I'd actually posit that the universe is actually naturally benevolent. It's just how low and how evil will we let it get. And
Right. Yeah.
it's not going to fit. It's not going to change until men like me and you are willing to sell everything we own and get a property in a better location together and invite the smartest people we know to come and live with us and build things with us and stand our ground when the cops come and say, no, you need to be on our side. We'll build you a house. I'll die for you. Your boss won't die for you. You know what I'm saying? I want better freedom. I wish you were paid more,
Well,
so you can take care of your family more. And
I,
then once you're on that level and you're on our side, then we can get rid of money. Then
I
we can
agree with
have
you.
organic food. Then we can mandate organic food. We can outlaw pesticides and preservatives and artificial sweeteners and artificial colors. We can ban these things, but it's not going to happen until we are willing to drop everything and unite very deeply and not let petty differences stop us from going deeper. And I'm not angry. I'd say that with all consciousness. I'm very passionate about this. And I don't speak like this to everybody. I'm doing it because I have faith. I can feel your intelligence, but even you have to go deeper out of your comfort zone.
Right.
I could force myself tonight to never eat a meal ever again. I know I have the ability to stop eating meat. I know the importance of it. It's not as important as Sahaja Yoga because my spirit is very advanced. It
Sure.
trumps, my spirit trumps anything I put into my body. This
Sure.
is where I'm
Sure.
coming from. This is where
Sure.
I'm coming from. This is where we disagree on, though.
Yes, we
This is
do.
what's
We
going to
do.
stop us. This petty shit is what's going to stop us.
I believe that it starts with clean water.
I drink alkaline as much as I can, man. I
No, but
always buy instead of they give us free water at work, and I'm out here spending $10 on alkaline, natural as raw, real water as I can
right,
find.
right.
You
But
know,
what you but no matter how strong the spirit is, if you're feeding it with pollution, you're fucking up. And that's the problem that you don't see
but
because
not.
you're in
But
your
God's
prime.
not so limited. God's powers aren't that limited. The demons made this system to completely surround us, and it's working. To
Inside the
the
video
people that,
game, inside the
but
video game, pollution
but the
happens
silver
and it
lining
does
is
work.
it's actually not working when people like me who really want the truth, it doesn't control me. I
It,
know I have candida, I know I have bacteria, and I know it's not controlling me.
no, it doesn't because you're 33. But when you're
I know you're
49,
wrong.
when you're
I know you're
49,
wrong. I
it
know
might.
you're wrong. I'm an anomaly because I'm not controlled by this bacteria. You know how? I would prove it. If it would fix the world, I would never eat meat again. I have that willpower. I can do it. And I know I could do it. I don't need to because it won't fix people. It won't. The knowledge and the willpower of men like me and you connecting and going deeper and you learning about what I've discovered, which is the truth. It's higher knowledge of spirituality. It's the next step in spiritual evolution.
I agree.
I don't do it
I
for
agree.
money. I don't do it to
You're
mislead
you're
anybody. I
preaching to
know
the
it's not.
you're preaching
Huh?
to the choir though. I'm talking to
But
the
you don't
monks.
know.
I'm
You
talking to
don't
the
know the principles. You don't know the names of the seven chakras.
I'm talking about the moms of the world that no one's ever
I'm
going to
talking
give a
about
shit this shit because they're eating meat. And you're like, but I'm on a higher level. I don't need to stop eating meat. And I'm talking
because I
about
could die
moms.
tomorrow.
I'm
I
talking
could die
about
tomorrow.
I
All the
don't
animals,
you
all our bodies are still going to die no matter how much
I'm not
meat
going to
you
die.
stop eating.
I'm not going to die. I don't know what
The
you mean by
physical
you.
body,
That's not me. That's not you.
you don't know that.
I know that. I don't have faith. I know it. My
So
wife does it for a
where's
living.
your so
My
your
wife
body
does
is
it for
never
a
going to
living.
die. So
My wife does exactly what Michael Newton does in his book, and they don't even know each other. They're from different timelines in the world, and they both, when they regress somebody to the theta state of hypnosis, get the same responses from people
so
about
you're not lying. You're being honest by saying you believe your physical body that you're in right now will never perish.
I'm unique in that I have scientific factual knowledge that I see demonstrated in front of me with a practitioner every single day in a scientific practice that you have to have a clinical
So
certification.
where's the 1,000,000-year-old vegetarians or the 200-year-old vegetarians right now? Where are they?
200 what?
Where are the 300, 200-year-old vegetarians that are following your diet that haven't died?
When have I ever said that?
You said your physical body will never die.
No, I said I'm not my physical body. I'm my
Oh, okay.
soul.
So yeah,
Just
that's
like the
my
God
point.
of the
So it
physical
really,
body
so
is not the God of the
okay,
soul.
okay. So ultimately, it really doesn't matter what we put into our bodies as long as we control our thoughts, and it comes from
No,
the knowledge. I don't deny that there's gut
that's
bacteria, but the knowledge of spirit, not denying that our spirit trumps the body, is what protects you from being manipulated and controlled by these bacteria and these worms and things you're talking about.
the bacteria and worms are demons. That is the
The
that's
spirit,
the
the spirit is stronger than anything physical.
yes, that's why you're supposed to use it. And if you
Ergo,
don't and you
I
keep
can
eating meat, then you're just feeding the
ergo
demons.
ergo a person can have a better diet than me, but be more demonic than me. So it's
Sure.
not really, it's not as important.
Especially if
Your
they ask
diet,
Jesus into their heart.
your knowledge and your willpower and your honesty is more important than the physical diet. It's
Yes.
not, it's not, it's not useless, but it's not what's going to stop a person from transcending. Because that means
Everybody transcends no matter
we're
what.
screwed, that they could
Everybody
lock us all in
transcends.
cages,
Everybody
that they could
transcends.
lock us. God couldn't reach you if they were trapping you in a cage and forcing you to eat Taco Bell. You're screwed. I disagree with that. God
Never
can
said that.
reach you and you can attain godhood
Never said
even
that.
if you're being forced against your will to
That's
eat
like
bad food.
that's like me
God is
saying you.
not incapable of saving you if you have a bad diet.
I never said that. And God doesn't
You're
save you. God
you're
doesn't
by
save
proxy
you.
saying that. You're saying that you can't transcend until you fix your diet.
I never said that. I
You just
said
said it.
you keep talking over me, but I'm going to say it one time and let's see if you can hear this and retain it through what you say is an uncorrupted inside. I do not believe that
No,
I
my
am the
spirit's
body.
incorrupted.
Right. If but you keep saying that I'm saying that you have to stop eating meat to transcend. You are a soul. You couldn't stop that train if you tried. It's going to go right through the.
Therefore we don't need to get rid of meat, which is exactly what a divine incarnation just
You
told you
are
in a video
going
I
to
sent you
keep
today.
coming back into these educational enrollments until you get it right, just like you said with the chakras.
But it's the knowledge and the love, and love
Knowledge.
isn't love isn't ceasing eating chickens.
Love is not killing the chicken.
I disagree.
You don't need to kill a chicken to live. That's part of a bad program and a
But
bad gut bacteria.
you don't need to abstain from meat to go to heaven.
No, you don't have to abstain to meat to go to heaven. In fact, if you ate nothing but blood your whole life, you'd still go to heaven.
Okay, so it's
You
not
just
about the
live a
diet.
you live a short, miserable life, and you'd be back to try to do it better again. And there's no reason to have to come back to do it better again if you can figure it out in this life.
Well,
So,
if you can create a dish that tastes better than the chicken curry I make, I'll switch my diet.
well,
But
I
I doubt you can make a meal that I will accept, honestly, because I if something tastes better and I has better vibrations, then you could convince me if you're that good of a chef, if
I
you have
never
enough love.
I've never thought medicine tastes or smells good. In fact, it usually is a little stinky.
Medicine or food?
Medicine or food that is medicine. The
Yeah.
best foods for you in the world, ever since I was a child, I thought were gross.
Do
I
you
thought were
know
stinky.
do you know
And
Sri Mataji, the
and
founder of
just like
Sahaja Yoga?
and everybody
The
thinks
founder of
marijuana
Sahaja
is
Yoga.
stinky, and it's the
Check
greatest
this
stuff.
out.
Yeah,
There's evidence. There's a lot of proof, and you can Google it. Sri Mataji, the founder of Sahaja Yoga, would go to crops and she would put her hand over them and she would vibrate them, and they would be 3 times to 10 times bigger than they naturally were before she came.
I don't disagree with that. There's a long history of people called jugglers that are in a book called Unveiling Isis by H. C.H. or Madame Blavatsky in the late 1800s. She did travels to India and she talked all about those people. And they could also make a seed sprout right in front of you, and in less than an hour produce fruit right in front of onlookers. And scientists were standing around watching this stuff, documenting it, and they still don't know how these jugglers did it in India. But there's a lot of the ancient initiate magic that's there from Egypt that survived the flood. But most of the Hindu religion is a knockoff of the ancient Egyptian religion, and that's where Pythagoras got his information. So really, you're getting closer to the source of the Hindu basis for magic if you study the
It's
Pythagorean
timeless.
initiation.
It's timeless. That's what it is. It's not a knockoff. It's that it never left.
It's the reason the
It's always
church
been
burned
around us.
down the
It's always been
library.
around us. You know, it's like I keep coming back to this phrase because it's like it's expedient and efficient. Like if everybody was like me, we would already have anti-gravity and free energy, you know what I mean? And everything would be organic. And I would eat a little bit of meat every now and then, and there wouldn't be any worms because all the food is grown with the best of everything.
The food where it's grown has nothing to do with the parasites that you're feeding inside you. They're,
No,
they're
I think the parasites manifest in humans and animals from a lack of understanding.
I just
I don't
told you
even
that they're
think,
sprayed. I
yeah,
told you clearly that we were sprayed by our own government. Fort Detrick.
yeah.
His name was William Bergdorfer. There's a book called Bitten by Chris Newby. She unearthed it. There's two authors that unearthed it on his deathbed. William
But
Bergdorfer.
chemtrails, is that what you think
William.
chemtrails are?
Well, no,
Yeah.
that's what the in modern times we're calling them chemtrails. But before anybody even knew what a chemtrail was, they were spraying us with Rickettsia helvetica, which was
Who was
developed by
spraying? Spraying how?
the U.S. Army, Fort Detrick,
Yeah,
using
yeah,
a
yeah.
guy named William Bergdorfer, who was the godfather of biological weapons in our
Yeah,
country.
my father, my real dad, who passed away a couple years ago, he was in the military, and I believe they experimented on him with chemical weapons,
They're
biological
experimenting on
weapons.
those guys with all kinds of biological critters and stuff. But what I'm talking
Yeah.
about is very specific. And when you look it up, you will no longer think that we're living in an innocent environment where you can just eat whatever you want. It was never like that. But now it's
No, I
definitely not
agree
like
with
that.
that. I agree with that, but I think as we evolve, God gives us more supernatural powers to protect us, souls like me.
No,
The
you're
people that
trying, that's you're playing some kind of exclusivity role and you're saying I'm better than everybody. And that's not the case. That's very Christian oriented.
No,
Um,
but that's the level of my faith. I've also had supernatural, unexplainable, and a lot of other people have had too. Supernatural, very
me too.
highly advanced spiritual experiences
Me
that
too.
transcend logic and physics,
Yep.
miracles. Okay,
Yes.
so this is my point. I'm going to keep coming back to it because it's undeniable. And you know, that's my point is that people, another guy who doesn't want the truth could have the exact same diet as me and it affect him differently because he doesn't have the willpower and the love that I'm emanating and protecting my aura and my energy. My body is, I think my body is more protected than another guy standing right next to me eating the same thing just simply because of my frequency, my
And I would have
vibration.
said the same thing if I was you when I was your age and if I was on the other side of this. Exactly the same thing. And I felt the same way.
Because it's true.
I didn't know what I know now, and you don't know what I know because I just told you, and you haven't read it yet. You don't know about Rickettsia helvetica, but when you look up what Swiss Agent USA is, that's the street name. You'll find out that it's living in you, and that's pretty scary that you don't care that it's living in you. And when you know that it's living in you, and you start realizing that it's living in your mother, you're going to start replaying some of these things in your head, and you're going to see
No,
them
I
right.
already came to that realization
The cheese and the meat are
naturally
feeding
on
and
my
breathing in
own.
both of you.
And I know that I am powerful enough that it's protecting me.
You will
That's
never
how
even
powerful the
know.
spirit is.
You
Huh?
will never even know that it's affecting you.
Then how did I know I had bacteria that is being stopped by my spirit before I ever talked to you?
I don't know, but I mean, I know that you would behave a
The
little
proof, the
differently
proof,
if you were a vegan.
the
I know you.
proof, the proof is in things like the footage of three guys standing around a cancer patient holding their hands out over the tumor and the tumor evaporating and shrinking on the x-ray on the whatever that thing is that measures it. This is my point that I dominate the bacteria in my body
You're talking
because
about
they
magic. You're talking about magic, man.
I'm
I'm
talking
talking
about
about medicine
love.
health.
I'm talking about love. That's
I
how
know, but
powerful
you're
love
but
is.
you're trying to take a scientific discussion about health and you're trying to turn it into a story like the one about Jesus feeding the masses with the two fish. And the reason I sent you that article is because I wanted you to see what they did with that story. It was a story that was supposed to teach people to share the magic of everyone being equal, having exactly the same clairvoyant abilities, but
Yes.
having enough of a clairvoyant ability to reach in their little basket and share what little they had with the person with them that next to them that didn't have anything. And all that started because Zadok, which is James, they were covering his name up, and Judas, which was they called him Yeshua in the story because they were covering up who Judas was. Yeshua and Zadok, which is James and Jesus, go out to the 5,000 and they're all getting ready to listen. And they realize everybody's hungry and didn't bring food. So they decide to start sharing the two loaves because they were vegans. They start sharing the two loaves of bread that they had with the people around them. And everybody got the same idea and started sharing. And it was fucking magic about sharing. Now, look what Rome did with it. They did what you're doing with the story about removing the cancer. They
But
said
there's
one
been
man
real evidence. There are
he's
real supernatural.
took two pieces of meat and they just never stopped dividing. And his
So
magic
this is
saved
where
everybody.
we disagree. I think that the benevolent God of love and truth gives certain people supernatural abilities at different times when they deserve it, when they're worthy. This is people getting shot and the bullet bouncing off of them. There's
You're
real
still
stories.
under the program. You're still under the program of
I've
exclusivity.
lived it. I've lived the
You're not,
miracles that
you're
you don't
not,
even know because you won't
your
let me say them.
soul is not special. You are the same as
Right,
everyone. You're just waking up
right,
at a different rate of speed than other
right.
people.
And God is supernatural.
God is supernatural, but his only manifestation in this world is through you. So you waiting for him to do something is ridiculous because you are that something. He's been
No,
waiting.
I'm not waiting. I'm allowing him to help me dominate the bacteria that the demons want to control me with, which they aren't controlling me with. Otherwise, I wouldn't know about 9/11. I wouldn't want to be
Listen,
willing to do anything possible to
I
free
thought
humanity from enslavement. I wouldn't be willing to, if you're right, I wouldn't be willing to let go of money. I wouldn't be willing to and able to, I know for a fact, stop eating meat at any moment that I want. I have that ability. I know I do. So
okay.
I'm proving you wrong by my experience, by me existing. I'm what I'm saying, I'm living, and I know I can do it, and it's proving you wrong, but you won't accept it
I
right
proved me
now.
wrong at your age
Huh?
too. I proved me wrong at your age too because I knew the same things that you know when you were 33, except I was
So I could say
wishing to
anything.
wake up
I could
about
say
9/11.
anything. I could say anything to you, and it could be true, but nothing I say is going to convince you that I have a better understanding until you're willing to open your mind a little bit more.
I'm willing to open my mind enough to know that I've been on your side of the equation and I know exactly why you're saying the things you do because you're 33.
But you're saying that every supernatural experience that defies the laws of physics isn't from God.
I'm saying that most of the things that we call supernatural are as a failure, as a lack of knowledge that we have about natural law that exists. So
So in my understanding,
most magicians,
just mean my faith in myself is what is protecting me and shielding me from the otherwise hopeless fight against everything that's in our atmosphere. That's how I'm so positive. That's how
oh,
I keep
yes,
saying if
yes,
people were like
yes.
me, none of
Yeah,
this would
positive.
even exist.
No,
It
your
would go away
positivity
like
is,
that. It would
no,
go
your
away like
positivity is
that.
very important to your health. Yes.
What?
Your positivity is very important to your health. We've all seen the studies on placebo effect. So
But
of
my
course
point
it's
is, I'm
very
more
important.
positive than you are, and I'm eating meat with these bacteria in my body more than you do.
What do you mean
More,
you're more positive than I
I
am?
know, I can feel it. I know for a fact I have more parasites than you, and yet I'm willing to go further than you are willing to go. In
What do you
order to
mean further?
manifest this, huh?
What do you mean you're willing to go further?
Whatever it takes, I am actually willing to do it.
Are you mean you're
More,
ready to sacrifice yourself?
no, I'm willing to do the hard work,
Me too.
sharing.
What hard work
I
are
could
you willing
actually
to do
share
that
my
I'm
house
not?
with you.
What are
I
you
could
willing to
find
do that
more
I'm not?
knowledge. I could find more knowledge and try and share it with you, even though you resist it.
I'm listening. I'm not interrupting like you are. I'm actually
So
listening to you.
I keep telling you the knowledge of Sahaja Yoga is more important than diet.
I heard that, and I didn't mean for you to pitch a religion here. I'm not.
Religion is just the study of the supernatural and God Almighty. It
It's a
can be corrupted. There's evil demons in Sahaja Yoga.
religion means to bind. It's fascism. If you
Religion, the highest meaning of religion means to bind you to the benevolent God. It can also be used to bind you to Satan.
right, or bind you to the acts of Rome, which is what the fascia
So,
means in Rome.
so is the divine definition of religion more important, or is the demonic definition of religion more important?
Religion is demonic because it binds you, and you
No,
have
it's
free
not.
will.
If I'm being perfect and serving humanity and God to the perfect ability, and I call it religion, it is not evil.
If you are perfect,
Huh?
sorry, you said you're
If
perfect.
I'm living perfectly
Are
in
you?
accordance to all the laws of truth, and I know that I have the right to call my practice religion, it ceases to be demonic, and I take dominion over that word and use that word correctly.
I don't see anything there that's a problem as long as you're not affecting other people with your free will
So I
negatively.
just proved you wrong when you said that religion is demonic, did you say? Or what did you say
I
it
said
was?
it's binding, which is demonic, because anything that goes against the best interests of free will and love, which is the creator of souls, consciousness best explained, would have nothing
Yeah.
to do with binding.
Unless it binds you to the one true God.
Nope, he doesn't want to be bound, or it doesn't want to be bound to at
It
all.
wants us to want to be with it,
Nope,
but
that's
of
the
our own
jealous God.
volition.
That's the
Of
jealous demiurge that has it's
no,
needy,
no, it's not. It's
needy,
loving. It wants to hang out with us.
loving like Pepe Le Pew.
No, no, the God I'm talking about is waiting for us to arrive. He's very patient. He's not jealous. He
It,
loves us perfectly,
okay,
like
sure.
a perfect father would.
Waiting for us to arrive. Okay.
And we're not there yet. That's why people
We've been there
don't
already.
see.
We go back and we come back and we go back and we come back, and it lets us come and go as we please because that's free will.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
My
doesn't
my
make us
point is
come
this,
and it doesn't make us go.
a part of
It's
the knowledge that I'm saying that a lot of people don't have is the realization that words can have complete opposite meanings when they're being used by different people.
sure.
So religion can actually mean enslavement to Satan, and it can also completely opposite mean in perfect service to God. It
I've
depends
never
on what's happening through that religion.
I've never heard of a religion that doesn't serve the demiurge, except for Mandaeanism, which is
Well,
the last
welcome
remaining
welcome
Pythagorean.
to the welcome to the perfect religion. It's called Sahaja Yoga.
If you're eating meat, you're serving the demiurge.
I disagree because the spirit
Well,
trumps meat.
the the spirit trumps meat. You mean
Yes.
it trumps other species and it can kill them and eat them whenever it's hungry.
Yes, because they're not worth uh they're not worth saving
You
as
know
if
what?
they're necessary to not kill
That is the
for
spirit of
sustenance.
Belial. And the
Huh?
etymology of Belial means worthless. That is the spirit of worthlessness, what you just said.
I didn't say they're worthless. I said they're
Again,
not worth enough to protect and stop eating. Now, if chickens can evolve and they start being more beautiful spiritually and psychologically, I wouldn't want to kill them. But they don't have enough intelligence for me to not uh, properly take advantage of the good protein that sustains my energy levels.
well, then you've made the exact same argument for the fallen angels that are the watchers over us that eat us. That for Nephilim or any other species that might be harvesting us in the ways that you talked about, you just absolutely justified their existence and what their mandate is here.
Yeah, and my understanding is also why God keeps allowing them. He doesn't help us. God doesn't save us from them
Free
because
will.
once we unite properly, we will do all the things you're talking about. But
We
you're
have to
trying to
do it.
put the carriage in front of the horse. You
God
need to put
doesn't
the
do
horse in
it.
front of the carriage.
God
Huh?
can't do it. It would violate free will. We have to do it. And that means a
Yeah,
clean filter.
and the chickens, whether you eat the chickens or not, they're going to die. And whether you are a
And an
vegetarian or not,
alien
your
could say the
physical
same thing about us. I mean,
right, right. But I believe I my understanding is I don't they don't have a right to eat me because I am uh worth not eating.
I'm sure a puppy feels the same way in Korea.
I don't think the dog thinks about it.
I think a dog thinks more than most humans do, and we can trust them more.
I agree, but not all dogs are as smart as me.
Perhaps.
There's some dogs that are smarter than other dogs. Some dogs seem to be demonically possessed and they don't deserve to be treated as a pet. They need to be put down. And other dogs, they elevate themselves in their consciousness. And I think the same can be said of chickens. Certain chickens shouldn't be killed if they demonstrate a certain level of divinity. Now, I would keep a certain chicken that's smart as a pet and wait for it to evolve spiritually to reach my level, and I wouldn't eat it. I would actually not enjoy eating an intelligent chicken. But a lot of chickens are in the stream of evolution at a certain level, And I think once humans ascend to a certain spiritual level, there's those entities will not be capable of consuming either our energy or our flesh. Because I think there's aliens that eat humans still to this day.
I believe
I
so.
think it's I think I think it's wrong, but I think God doesn't stop it because God doesn't want to stop it because they don't deserve to be protected by God because they don't want the truth. They're not seeking the truth. God's not going to be like, "Oh, let me help this rapist not get eaten."
I
He's
don't
like,
think
"Oh, well, that's
I
his
don't
fault.
think
It's karma. It all works out. It's all
God doesn't
karma."
step in and stop anything. Nothing
Yeah,
ever gets stopped unless we do it. And so
right.
the idea that
And the reason we're not
waiting,
stopping it is because we're divided over petty things like meat still.
we've been programmed to think that someone else is going to do it for us.
I
That
don't think I don't think anybody else is going to do it for us, and I think I have a better understanding of how it's actually going to work out. That I would link my ability to see things how they would actually most likely work out is also connected to my abilities that I've experienced around 10 dreams that I've seen my own future and experiences that are so mundane it didn't benefit me at all, it didn't hinder me at all, it didn't hurt me, really cute things, but it was so amazing of a vision. I've had around 10 dreams like that and counting. And I believe it's the Holy Spirit of benevolence, of supernatural abilities that the God Almighty is giving me as little gifts, presents. He's saying, "You're
yeah,
doing it, but I'm helping you do it."
yeah, I agree. I think you should read The Journey of Souls.
So
You have an
that
assigned
ability
guide.
that I've tapped into naturally. I didn't try to do these visions, and some of them were very vital to my protecting me from demonic attacks in my future. They prepared me for my children being stolen away from me, which they did to try and get me to kill myself through depression, and I overcame that. It's just like wave after wave of attack. I keep on being like, "Oh, that hurt," but nope, it's not stopping me. So it's the same reason I have the ability to see how things need to work out, generally speaking. I don't know all the intricate, fine, tiny details, but I know that Sahaja Yoga and connecting and protecting each other physically and monetarily until we get rid of money is more important than the diet. It's not completely useless to better your diet. And I think we should constantly be improving everything about diet because I want the best. I think God wants the best of everything for us. And I agree that that might actually eventually entail getting rid of meat. I already said we shouldn't be eating cows and pigs. I actually sometimes I get a steak and I'm like, dang, this is a bad idea. And it was like I think it was the bacteria kind of urging me. But while I was going in, I'm like, I actually am watching this. I'm letting it happen and I'm facing it and I'm witnessing it. That's how you experience it and you learn more about it. You're like, I'm
Sure,
not afraid of it.
sure.
I'm like a scientist. I know my body is temporary, and whether I become a vegetarian or not, I have the ability, no matter what, to go as high as possible right after I die. It's up to me and my spirit. It's not how much meat I ate. This is where we disagree, and this is what's going to stop us saving humanity. That's why I'm passionate about it. I'm frustrated because you can't wrap your head around the importance of this point I'm making.
I do understand the
Because I
point
think
you're
you're
making.
afraid that you might have been wrong and you're pushing something so strong when it's not even as half as important as what I'm trying to give you.
What would I be wrong about, Pythagoras?
No, that getting
Messiah?
rid of meat, it's simple. Getting rid of meat is vital to fixing and getting rid of money and getting rid of slavery and all these things. It's
This is
not
not,
as vital as you're saying it is.
I didn't come up with this idea. I'm not somebody that just comes spouts bullshit on the internet. I
I didn't say it's
research.
bullshit. I
I
even
know, but
agreed
like
with it.
this
I'm
inf
saying you're placing it on a pedestal, and I'm saying it belongs at 6. And you're saying it's always been 10 and it's always going to be 10, and you can't stop it from
I'm
being
saying
10
that
at
that this
importance
information
level.
is so important that they made the demonic Bible to make sure you wouldn't figure it out. And you're
It's
saying,
one,
ah, it's
it's
not that big
one
a
of,
deal.
no, I'm saying it's one of thousands of tools, and it's not as important and powerful of a tool as you think it is.
Meat, money, and government are the three most powerful tools in our enslavement and in the
Then
main
how
reason
am
that
I
we don't get
more
along with our
loving than
family.
everybody? I could have
Interrupted.
more money, eat more meat, and still be more loving than anybody because it's not about what you eat or how much money you have. It's about how willing you are to leave it all behind. and I'm more willing. I could even stop eating. I could do you one better. I could stop eating and let my body waste away and force myself to do it. That takes more willpower than stop eating meat. And I'm more loving. I'm more selfless. I'm more honest.
It doesn't
But
take
the
a lot of willpower to not eat meat once you get rid of the parasites. They're the ones that
because
want
it's
the meat.
not a big deal. It really isn't.
No, it
The
is a
reason
big deal. It is if you've never tried it, it is a big deal. Your fingernails fall out. You start to get wrinkly because you don't understand collagen and amino acids and where to get protein from legumes. There's an incredible mountain of education that a person has to go through before they can
so maybe
properly eat
maybe
vegetables.
maybe you can be controlled by food, but I can't.
I never was I never had a situation where I was like, "Oh God, I'm trapped because I'm controlled by food."
You're
I found
saying
out
though that
I
what the hell are
found
you
out
you're
I
like
found out
you're
about something
saying
that
that food's so important and you're like, but it's not. I never said it's not important.
you're
And then you're like, but
ignoring.
it's the most
You're
important thing.
you're
It's the thing that you keep on coming back to as if it's the most important thing for us to be talking about. And I'm saying
biological
it's not.
weapons.
I'm saying
Biological
it's not.
weapons.
I'm
Biological
saying it's
weapons.
spiritual. The spirit is more powerful than biological weapons.
Okay.
Mind over matter. These
I
people
think
don't have control of their mind because they haven't tried, they haven't given effort.
the
Therefore,
reason
the food easily controls them because they haven't tried to be their own master.
the reason that we can't have a meaningful discussion is because of the bacteria. You keep interrupting me.
No,
I'm
I'm
trying to
choosing
talk
to
about
interrupt you because I believe you're wrong.
I'm talking about biological weapons and you don't even want to hear about them. You're scared to
I
death
already
when we
I
talk about
already accepted that they're real and I didn't disagree. You
them. Then
won't
why would
accept
you
that
keep
it's
feeding them when you know that they're the thing that is making your mouth water?
to show people like you that you're wrong.
Okay. Well, I don't need to see that. I don't need to see
Because
that.
I haven't eaten dinner and I don't not even hungry.
Well, I actually need to go. I was supposed to go like 30 minutes ago, and I'm glad you got all those points in, and we can pick this back up later, and maybe next time we'll bring some more people on.
The
But
all-pervading power of God's love will never be weaker than physical attacks. That's the last thing I'll say.
you're right. You're right. But it's
That's what I've
important to
aligned. That's what I've aligned myself with, and that's why I'm less controlled than you are, and I eat meat.
controlled than I am. What am I controlled by?
The demonic that wants us to argue about meat.
I'm not trying to argue. I'm the one asking you to stop interrupting so that I can make a point that we might actually agree on.
You keep on making the same point, and I'm trying to tell you you're not accepting how I disagree with you.
You were telling me earlier that the worms are outside of us, and it depends on the quality of food that you put in your body that controls how bad our parasitic
Yes.
colonization is inside.
Yeah.
And I was telling you that the colonization was sprayed on our grandparents and passed to us congenitally, regardless of what we eat. It's in
And
me. If I
and
start
that's like
eating
the
meat
12th
tomorrow,
time you said
I
that. But
start.
I heard you the first 5 times, but you're
Okay.
repeating it as if I'm not hearing you, but
Then
I'm
how do
hearing
you
you.
still think the parasites come into you through bad meat?
Because they come into you through bad meat.
They already live in you. They're a
Okay.
colony living in your gut that's
Okay.
your first brain. It's called your first brain because it makes most of your thinking decisions. And you're
So
saying that doesn't matter.
the the way they come
You're living in your car and you're saying that your the decisions don't matter.
no, they
That,
do. I've
that, that
sacrificed by standing up for what's right. It's made my life harder.
you, you're sacrificing because you listen to a sacrificial indoctrination.
Of what?
The person that was crucified was anti-sacrifice. Anti. That means what you're saying is an abomination to him.
Then how was he crucified if he was anti-sacrifice?
He
Why
wouldn't
didn't he?
want to be crucified. He was crucified
Nobody does.
for kicking the
No,
money out of the temple.
nobody does. And I actually disagree. I think that the entity knew it had to be done in order to shock society. And
That's a
this is
sacrifice
the level of the
indoctrination.
love.
That's part of a
So,
psychological
so,
condition that
so
they put
you,
into all of us.
no, I've told people if people were at my level, Christ wouldn't have been crucified. I think the disciples failed him.
You keep talking about sacrificing yourself for the greater good like a communist. And that's who invented communism, was the Jesuits that invented the story of Jesus Christ.
No, no, I don't. I don't. I'm not
It's the
controlled by dogma.
ultimate sacrifice. It
I
is the
say things like
ultimate.
I could die for you because I could, because I'm willing to save your daughter from falling off a bridge if I had to catch her and I had to choose between me and your daughter living. I might choose to save your daughter because I'm selfless. It's
I'm
not
the
because
same
I'm
way.
addicted to sacrifice.
I'm the
I'm
same way, and I'm
I'm
not
alive
submitting.
today. I'm alive today because I'm intelligent enough to know I don't have to die. I say things like that because that's the level of your stubbornness, that I have to be that extreme to get you to see how passionate I am about knowing that I'm smarter than you.
Okay.
Our bodies are going to die. The chickens are going to die, whether you eat them or not. I have so much power that the bacteria does not control me. That's how I can stand up for what's right and go deeper while still holding these parasites in my body. They don't control me because I know about them, because I was fearless enough to accept the truth that they're real and that they have real effects on us. And I said, I actually choose to be master over them and not let them affect me.
Yes.
Food cannot control me. You can take food away from me and I will still make the right decisions. You can give me all the organic food and say, hey, I'll give you all the best food if you shut up. And I'll be like, fuck you. I'm going to say the truth and fuck your organic food. I'll eat the shitty food because I'm going to walk into the desert and go save these people, whatever it is that needs to be done. Food can't control me. You can't bribe me with good food and you can't stop me with bad food. That's the level of spirituality I'm at.
But they can
That's
make you
why
make,
things aren't getting
but
fixed,
but they
because
can
people
make,
are transfixed on food.
but they can
And the
make you make
first
bad
thing,
decisions that are go against your own best interests with bad food without you even knowing that that's what you're doing. All the way to the point where you end up,
most people are not on my level. I'm proving you wrong though.
okay, I gotta go, man. I'm not mad at you, but I listen. My wife is probably sleeping upstairs, and I really it was my day off today, and I just put the kids to bed, and I was coming down here to do this for an hour. We're 2 hours and 2.5 hours deep. I got to
I
cut
don't
it.
feel guilty either.
I don't want you to, I know that's fine. That's fine. But when you go back and watch over this, realize that you're talking to the consciousness of someone that doesn't have 1 ounce of flesh in their body and hasn't for the last 7 years.
You're
And
made out of flesh, so you have flesh in your body whether you like it or not.
you're right. You're right. So why would I be a cannibal? Why would I eat what I'm made of? You have a
You're
pig's
not eating
digestive.
humans. Eating
You,
chickens isn't eating humans.
you know that I wait for you to finish talking before I talk because I don't have any parasitic issues.
I cut you off because I'm more intelligent than you and you need my knowledge to save humanity.
That's the parasites talking.
No, it's God talking, and it's what you fail. It's what you're too afraid to hear. Some people can channel the Holy Spirit in the will of God. You're afraid to admit that I might be smarter than you and more closer to God.
I'm not even trying to hold a contest here. I'm just trying to talk about the fact that you can be sick and not know it. You could be holding yourself back and not know it. And
I know my illnesses. I
earlier
don't
when you,
deny my illnesses. I manage my illnesses, and I
earlier when
stop
you,
them from killing me
earlier
with
when
the
you,
Spirit.
earlier when you talked about where's my 200-year-old vegans, I meant to say something to you that you probably won't
Yeah.
remember until you go back
Oh,
over
yeah.
this.
Because I thought I was wrong. I thought you said that my body is never going to die.
No, I said
I must have misheard you.
I
I must
said
have misheard you.
I said
My
you're not.
apologies.
I
I
said
heard
you're
you
not.
say my body's never going to die. That's what
Said
I heard,
you're
but
I said you're not. Yeah, I get it. I wasn't
yeah,
talking about the rental car. I was talking about you.
yeah.
But
Which is why it doesn't matter what you eat, because your deeds and your yearning for love and peace is
if
the
you
only
don't
thing
care
that
about
matters.
the quality of your life or how long it is, then that's fine because you're going to
Well,
have
that's
as
why
many as you
that's
want.
why I eat organic food, and that's why I believe I'm going to live to be 120 years old,
Rickettsia
because
helvetica loves
because
organic
my
meat.
my diet is very balanced. I eat a lot of natural organic food as much as I can, and my spirit and my vibrations, my attitude, my positivity, my fearlessness, it all comes from courage and honesty and confidence, which none of
Good,
it is fake.
good. Nobody
That's
said
how I'm
it
going to
was
live so
fake.
long. So
Nobody
I'm
said
doing
it was fake.
food. My energy is really good. Spiritual is really good, and my diet is pretty darn good. That's why I'm
Well,
going to live so long.
I'm not
It
trying
is
to
not
attack
because
you. I'm talking about an ancient teaching that doesn't care about you. It
I
doesn't
know about
change
it
for who the
all.
listener is.
I know
So,
about it.
okay. Well,
But
you
I
don't care
keep
about
coming
it.
back to
You said
a
it's
person
pointless.
a person being higher spiritually gives them more protection and more power over these demons.
Person who's higher spiritually doesn't even need to have this conversation. They already know these things. Every great
That's why
sage
you're
that
talking to
every
me.
every great
Because
sage
you
that
don't
ever
know yet the power of the spirit, obviously, if you think that you can't eat poison meat and still save humanity while doing it.
so you have a pig's digestive system. We all do. Did you know
I
that?
have a human digestive system.
Nope.
That
The,
might have been pig
we're the
DNA might have been used to fashion human DNA.
exactly.
Yeah.
We're the only primate that has a pig's digestive system. It
We
was
have multiple
inserted.
species spliced
Right.
into our DNA.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm glad we didn't have to climb that hill together. You know that. So
Yeah.
we because we have a
I believe
pig's
the Anunnaki did that. The
so
giant race of
right.
humanoids did that.
So have you ever read a book by Hannibal Lecter called Hannibal, or about Hannibal Lecter called Hannibal? It's all about a guy
No, I've seen the movies.
it's all about a guy that has a pig farm, right? He tries to figure out a way to get rid of bodies in minutes, right? One of the ways that he trains these pigs is he feeds them meat. Eventually, he gets to the point where they can get rid of a body in just like less than 2 minutes. He times them, right? And he ends up killing a lot of people this way with his pig farm. So I go looking this up to see if this is actually possible, right? It's absolutely possible. Not
I
only
know.
that, a pig that's fed a plant-based diet only, you can let it play with your kids and leave them alone in a room with that pig, no matter how big it is, for
Yeah.
hours. No problem.
That's why I can feel the energy of the boars, the wild boars that sleep around my tent. They don't want to eat me because they eat plant material all the time.
Right. So you feed them meat. Guess what happens? They go through a physiological change that's like a werewolf. They grow hair where
Right.
they didn't have hair, tusks.
Yeah.
They end up hunting in packs like they've always done it. They'll devour a child if you leave them alone with them in the corral in less than 5 minutes.
Right.
So
Right.
governments knew this about humans thousands of
Yeah.
years ago, and they said all food's blessed. And look what we
But
got.
it wasn't to stop spiritual souls who were gonna ascend no matter what. It was to keep the stupid people stupid.
My point is, doesn't change. You're feeding pigs meat, and you're saying it doesn't matter. Now,
But
here's my other point. Here's my other
I can
point.
eat it and I'm not as affected as somebody who doesn't want the truth.
Argue with the science. The science we've already both agreed on. Okay. So you already
The
know what
science
happens when
proves
you feed
the
the pig
science
meat.
proves you right, but it also goes further. There's more science that also proves that the spirit is more powerful than the physical.
Well, I hope it's really,
Yes.
it's got to be a lot stronger than that mean ass pig, because not everybody's going to be as good as you. Right.
Every
So
material thing came first from the non-physical. That
problem
means that
is,
the spiritual, non-physical is more powerful than the physical. And
problem is
because I've united, I've gotten more connected with it. It does not, the bad food does not affect me as much as somebody else.
not
But
all
I know
about
I
you.
still have
It's
to
not
taper
all
my
about
diet with
you. It's
organic.
about 7 billion pigs that have a false indoctrination. And we all need to be united on the fact that it's false. It's chemically adversarial to our benefit. And you're like, well, it doesn't affect me. I'm on a higher level. If everybody
Right.
would catch up with me,
Sometimes I yearn.
that's
I sometimes go and buy organic bacon because I'm craving it, and it doesn't trap me in some demonic system. I still go higher with my knowledge. I'm still the same person willing to run 20 miles to save somebody, to tell people, to sacrifice having dinner in
there's a
order
lot of
to
good
spread the
soldiers out
knowledge of
there.
Sahaja Yoga.
There's a
I
lot of
foregone my dinner tonight. I'm not going to eat dinner tonight just so I could share the knowledge of Sahaja Yoga with you.
I'm going to leave you with this last thing because you asked where the 200-year-old people are. 2,000 years ago,
That was based on a misunderstanding that you already heard that I
I'm going to give you an
misheard you.
answer. The
They lived
2000
longer. Yeah.
2000 years ago, the enemy of the crucified person, Josephus Flavian, while he was sitting in Caesar's palace writing the second war book of the Jews, telling their story, because he used to be a counterintelligence agent within their group, he was raised under a guy named Banus, who was like a John the Baptist type. He was a tax collector's son who was raised in the authentic Jewish rebellion so that he would learn to lead them as a general one day without them knowing that he was a tax collector's son. He made it all the way until the genocide when Vespasian kidnapped him and had him start writing the Gospels, the histories of the Jews, all that. Well, Josephus is writing about his enemies, the people living in the desert. And what he says about the people that were living under Judas and James, the founders of the fourth philosophy in the second war book, he says this. They were living to be over 100 years on average because of their perfect diet. This is written by their enemy 2,000 years ago. Now
But
we
there's
live,
also people, there's also women that smoke cigarettes their entire life and eat meat their entire life, and they live to be 105 years old.
that doesn't take away from the fact that our average lifespan right now in this modern time is about 72 with all
But
of the medical equipment we
it's
had.
more because people have detached from the spirit than the food, because the detachment from spirit came before the food changed. It's why it is allowed to happen. We would have stopped it if we didn't become detached from spirituality so heavily.
Yeah, the facts are the
It
facts.
wasn't it
The
wasn't the
facts,
food changed. It wasn't the food changed and then everybody became detached from spirit. It was they slowly became more and more detached from spirit, and then they were able to change the food.
the average lifespan was under 50 at that time. They were almost doubling the meat eater's lifespan 2,000 years ago. And you're trying to keep that information from people.
No,
That's
I
evil.
want everything to be
That's evil.
organic first. I told you how I think it should happen. Everything
Doesn't matter what you
unnatural
think.
should.
Facts are facts. I don't
I
think
told you
what
the way it's
Josephus
going to
said
work
he
out.
said. I don't think what the Messiah said he said. I don't think what James said he said. I don't think what their enemies said about them said. I know what was said. I know what they taught, and I know why. And you're trying to detract from that arbitrarily. And you're saying it's not evil.
What are they saying that I'm disagreeing with you that they
You're
said?
saying it doesn't matter that you're saying their diet didn't matter. How the fuck were they living twice as long as everyone else in that area?
Because there wasn't poison in their food. In
Everybody
their,
was eating the same food, they just weren't eating meat.
I disagree. I think they were eating meat.
The Essenes were not living to be over 100. Only the fourth philosophy members under Judas that were following the Pythagorean diet.
You don't know that for a fact.
I know it for a fact. You can go read it. This is independent of what I want or care about.
So only the things that you believe in can't be manipulated and changed in literature.
I just told you that this information came from every single different side of the perspective, both the people that were in line with them and their enemies alike, all wrote the same thing. It's out there waiting for you to discover it, and you don't care.
I
And I
don't
say
think
it's because
living
the meat.
40 more years is as important as understanding Sahaja Yoga.
And that's where we're going to leave off. I got to go, brother. I love my family too much, but it was good talking to you. And I will look into that yoga. I promise.
Night.
Have a good night.
God bless.
You too.